Welcome back to another episode of the Backlog Breakdown, a video game podcast where we seek to encourage and equip the church to engage in the medium wisely and responsibly and well, just doing it well. I'm your host, Josh, and with me today is my co-host, my brother in Christ, Nate, and my other co-host, special guest, also Josh. He's very gracious to be with us here this evening. So henceforth, we will call you Gracious Josh.
What do we call you?
Whatever you want.
Broccoli.
I'm
Josh.
tempted to say just not late for dinner, but I won't say that because that is like boomer humor, man.
The worst.
Which the worst. Yep, that's right. Anyways, welcome to our Spooktober episode. Woo! What is that out in the window? It's a black cat. I don't know what's spooky nowadays.
Dude, all kinds of stuff. You know what's spooky is my 3-year-old in his skeleton pajamas. That terrifying. Just like
he scared me.
Dude, he scared you the other night. Yeah,
he done scared me. I don't know what
all his
was
bones were showing,
coming at me like a spider monkey. I don't even know.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Nah.
Anyways, welcome. We're here to creep you out with some video game talk. Not really, but we will be talking about our spooky game that we decided to play this year. And Josh, you reached out to us very graciously, and you asked if you could be here as we talk about Dredge, which I say that as if I was, bearing the lead. But obviously, anyone who's tuned in, you already know we're talking about Dredge. Today we're talking about Dredge. But before we talk about Dredge,
if they're
that's true.
Then they didn't.
I don't want to exclude any of our illiterate listeners. Welcome. We're talking about Dredge.
Everyone's welcome.
Everyone is welcome here to get spooky. I don't even know. But anyways, that's what we're doing this evening. Before we jump into what we're doing this evening, let's see how you guys have been since the last time that we recorded. Josh, it's been a while since you've been here.
No. You missed something there, Joshua.
What was that thing you missed?
You meant to say, it's been
yes.
an undisclosed amount of time since we last spoke to him.
Undisclosed. It's been a few long gone days since the last we chatted.
Yes, it has.
Right?
Oh, gross.
Been waiting months to use that. No, I'm just kidding. It just came to me just right then. That's why it was so bad. So poor. But Josh, how you been? What you been up to in the interim?
It's really a question of what I have not been up to, and that is work. I am currently a furloughed government employee, and 10 votes in by the Senate and no dice, and so I continue to no pay at this point is coming in the future, and so no work. So it's been interesting. Really odd. I feel like I'm unemployed, but I'm not unemployed at the same time, and so just trying to find things to do. I was all excited the first day or two because I was like, I can do all these projects and stuff around the house, and now I've done all those. So it's been interesting.
I've done all those, and it's like womp womp. Like,
well, what do I do now? So
it's
that is a very strange.
I don't want to get like too political, but it's like, what's uncanny is that their own paychecks don't like stop, and I'm like, but you guys are the ones who actually aren't doing your jobs. Like,
it's
like funny how that works.
It's weird that you guys still get paid. You still get your benefits. Like, dude, I'm just gonna withhold any more commentary. But I've always thought that's like, hey, government shutdown, and the only people that aren't gonna get paid is everybody that's actually like doing something. It's the people who aren't doing the thing that they're supposed to, that they still manage to get paid. I'm just like, there's shenanigans going on there. I'm just saying.
This time has been interesting for me, though, just opening my eyes to understand that some people don't have a social safety net. They don't have
Mm.
extra pay in the bank, or they don't have family members they can lean on,
Yeah.
or whatever. And I was just on a call recently. I serve as a deacon at our church, and so we were just kind of talking about there are families in our church who this is going to become increasingly a problem the longer it goes
Mm.
on. And so, how can we redirect them to resources? Obviously, we have benevolence funds as well as a church, and so it's just becoming something we're aware of, keeping an eye on in our church. So, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, it's just it is tough. Like my brother-in-law is active duty army, and this is
mm,
like he's been through a few of these where it's just like, and my sister works, so it's like, and they're not really hurting for money, but it is
yeah,
kind of just like one of those things where it's like, oh, hey, you still have to show up and you still have to do your job. We're just not going to
right,
pay you for it right now. And I have
yeah,
a lot of friends
yeah,
who are um, like uh, they work in federal and state prisons, and so
mm,
Okay.
got federal COs, corrections officers. They're not getting paid right now either, and it's like,
mm,
man.
Hmm.
yeah, that's tough,
But you still have to go into work. You still have to do your
right?
job. It's just like, and you're like, yeah. I like the nice part is because the post office is not tax revenue dependent, and that
Hmm.
we are primarily like we generate revenue, and so our paychecks, like we don't, this doesn't affect us at all, and it sucks for
Right,
everybody else, but yeah, so
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry to bring it
Man.
down here, but that's just what's been happening in
Nah,
my life
dude.
the last couple of
Mm-hmm.
weeks, honestly. So
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Dang.
Nah, man. I mean,
That's crazy.
a lot of time with my
yeah.
family though, so that's been really good, and some
Yeah.
Yeah.
friends as well. So it's been fine.
Yeah.
That's good.
And you
I'm glad to hear you're staying afloat. You're not sinking,
No,
because of all the stuff that's going on.
yeah,
so
All the
dumb,
it's
dude.
fishy
just the
things that are
Nate.
going
It's the
on with
first of
the
many, man.
I know. I know. Like it's dude, I've been like doing this with him for like 6-ish, 7-ish years. It's like entirely too
Yeah.
long sometimes. It's just like it's
Mhm.
nightmarish. And just like I don't know what it is.
It
Like
is nightmarish. It's pretty scary,
it's
every
it's
time we come on.
I spook myself sometimes. Um
Mm. Yeah. Especially
but
this time of year.
yeah, no, I'm glad. Yeah, and I'm glad that you have like one that you have like the safety net, but I think too the idea that like you've been utilizing this time well. Like I think like
Yeah.
the temptation so often would be like, hey, I'm just gonna kind of like be a bum, like it's at least like kind of like, or even just like I'm just thinking about like one of the, and this is years ago at this point, but I got laid off, and my like inclination was just like, I'm just gonna, like, I was depressed, and so I just kind of like sat around and just didn't do anything for a while. And I think like that,
Mhm.
yeah, so I'm sympathetic to like I'm yeah, I'm sympathetic to like, hey, I don't have anything to do, I'm just gonna like kind of like feel bad for myself. But then like the other side where it's like, hey, I'm actually gonna like make a productive use of my time here. So
Yeah,
I'm like
it has
I'm
been
like,
interesting.
good
Sorry, not to
Jordan.
belabor the point here, but how much of my identity do I see wrapped around the meaningful work that I do every day? And when I
Hmm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
have that work to do, that rhythm, kind of like I'm a little bit lost at times. I'm like, what do I
Sure.
do? And I could always play games, but then I also see my
Mm-hmm.
wife who doesn't work, but she's working harder than I am, homeschooling our kids. I'm like, well, I
Hmm.
can't play games all day. So she's doing that,
Yeah.
So it's been
Yep.
interesting. It's been eye opening.
Well, it really stresses the, like, when you have those times, it really stresses like the difference between vocation and
Mm-hmm.
labor or employment.
Yep.
Like, and your employment can definitely be part of your vocation, but like identity Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff in there, but like especially for guys, like hey, like when the job goes, it's like just like you're absolutely floundering. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's
yeah, and like again, not to, like you said, Josh, not to belabor the point, but I think part of that instinct is good because we were made to work, right?
Yeah.
But not like to put your entire identity into one specific thing, or something like that. But there is also the other side of it, whereas like, no, there's a reason why you feel aimless is because you're not aiming at something, like that you were made for actually getting some work done. So
that's good.
There's good and bad in there for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a good conversation, but man, as much as I want to run down that rabbit trail, the show must go on. So Nate, what have you been up to in the interim?
Yeah, well, since we are kind of like down a little bit, I'll just sort of this last weekend I had to go to an old high school buddy's funeral, his memorial service. That was a major bummer. He was a really sweet dude. It's like one of those things I'm not sure if he was a believer. I mean, so there's there's just things that you wrestle with there, but like just it was just kind of sad, like, and it was just kind of a bummer. But there was that also. Then we kind of got hit by Byron managed to pick up a case of hand, foot, and mouth again, so like this week has just been like just you have a kid and it's just like when you're, because he goes to daycare 4 days a week, and when all of a sudden like you can't do that, it like disrupts the whole thing. And now this week we did kind of luck out. Like I had Monday and Tuesday off because Monday was the federal holiday, Columbus Day. Tuesday was my scheduled day off. Megan ended up taking Wednesday off, and then today she had off because tomorrow they have I forget what they like, professional development, but it's like an all day thing.
Sure.
And so so she's going to be out, and we had debated on whether or not to send him back to daycare, but it was like he's still not 100%. Like he's probably fine, but also we don't want to be those people like, hey, my kid still might kind of be like sick and a little like contagious. I'm going to send him anyways because it's super convenient for me. It's like, no, like, so I'm taking tomorrow off to stay home with him, and it's like those first couple of days were real rough. Like at one point in time, I was just like, like I kind of like, I was like, can you just stop crying for like 5 seconds? Like, and he can't because he's in pain,
Right.
and it's just like, oh my gosh. But yeah. So that was super, and it's like, dude, full disclosure here, like, big facts times. Columbus Day is the worst holiday, the worst. I hate it. I hate it with the burning passion of 1,000 suns, and not because like we displace the original peoples or anything like that. Like,
Okay,
dude,
that's
just,
what I was going to ask. Do you hate Columbus Day or do you hate Indigenous Peoples Day?
I mean, I hate the whole like observation of any of it,
All of it.
and not because I
hate it all.
actually care. Like it's one of those things, like it. There's this really kind of like wild conversation I think you can have about that, where it's like, hey, you can say like, overall, this has been a pretty good thing, like the founding of the American continent, like, and the American nation and all. But there's also like problems, and like, hey, we can say like whatever, and like you can sort of say like, I have such a problem with the whole narrative around all of it, like where it's like we want to pretend like Christopher Columbus was just evil, heinous dude, or no, he was a total saint. And it's like, no, he was probably like, I don't know, a little bit of column A, a little bit of he was a human, yeah.
Right.
It's like, and so it's like, can we say like, hey, this is actually kind of important because our country, if he hadn't done that, like sort of stumbled into where was he originally? Where did they think he originally landed? Like one of the
Indies,
islands,
West
in
Indies.
the West Indies or what? Well, no, he was trying to get to the West Indies, but
Right.
he like some of the islands off of like towards like the Gulf of Mexico. Anyways, like he supposedly landed somewhere down in there, wherever he landed, doesn't matter. But like that sort of kicked off the whole thing, and then and America as we know it, and like we would say that that's like as a general rule a net positive. Is there a lot of like bad stuff that happened because of that? Yeah, sure. There were a lot of people who were here and were probably unjustly killed, and sort of like cheated. Like, I mean, even American history, like the way that we've treated Native Americans, like, has not been super cool, but
No.
again, it's a mixed bag, right? And you don't need to be like, oh, it's all bad, colonizers. It's like, oh, shut up. Like, that's the most smooth brain take on any of this possible. Like, just like pretending like it's all good is almost as equally abhorrent. That being said, I hate it because it's the worst week in the U.S. Postal Service, bar none. Bar none. I would say this week has been so heinous. Like, and it's actually like I was talking to some other carriers, and it's like, oh yeah, like Columbus Day week is usually pretty sucky. And this one was actually really bad because now I think there's a few things that sort of lean into this, but this one was actually really bad for like a few days. And I dodged the worst day, which was Tuesday, but because that was my scheduled day off. But it's like there was also like the Prime Days last week. So it's like you've got this like your parcel volume is out of control, like, and it's just like they're finding like every single piece of mail in the entire plant, like, and you're just like, ugh, and I just hate it. Like, I hate it.
So is it
It's
worse than December?
Well, December's a whole month, and this is just 1 week of just nightmare. But it's comparable. They're comparable. Like peak is, but there is something different about peak where you just kind of like, I don't know, like December hits and you just kind of lock in. I don't know. Whereas like Columbus Day, it's like, it's almost like you forget about it. And it's like, oh, hey, you remember me? Like, I suck. And it's like, oh, yes, you do. It's like, oh, no, I forgot how awful this is. Because it's kind of like almost like a taste of like peak, just like transplanted, like right in the middle of like. I do think there are some like mitigating factors. I think like you see an uptick in like political mail just because like you have some sort of like, like we have local and state elections going on right now, like our campaigns. So it's like you've got some of that, and it's like, oh, that's a hassle. But yeah, anyways, Columbus Day is just the worst. Indigenous Peoples Day. It's garbage, and I hate it. And I wish it would go die in a fire.
But you got the day off, so
yeah, but that's not guaranteed. Like, dude, I'm actually thinking like next year I might try to like swing one of my weeks and just make sure that like I'm not working this week because it was, I was like, oh, this is so not good. But yeah, so yeah, that's my rant. But no, I mean, aside from all of that stuff, like, yeah, things are actually like kind of like okay. Like, it's, dude, weather rules right now. Like, dude, it's sweatshirt weather. Dude, there's sunshine. Like, people are like, why are you wearing shorts? It's so cold out. And I'm like, dude, I'm in this like for 8 hours a day. Like, I got sunshine. Like, man, like I'm golden, baby. Like, I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Yeah, let's rock this. So yeah,
sweet.
What's up with you, homie? How's it been? How has it been with you, Josh?
It has been. No, so we were hit with sickness as well, and it bounced. So it's been bouncing around our house, and it hasn't been like too terrible, but it just, kind of has just come in waves. So kids first for a few days, then I got it for like a week, which was really weird. It wasn't ever like absolutely horrible. So I would assume like, okay, this isn't going to last very long. And it was like a week of just like, roll the dice when you wake up and maybe your throat's going to be absolutely burning. And you might wake up at 3:00 in the morning because you need water because of your throat. Or your throat might be fine and you just might cough up a bunch of gunk the next morning. Or, you might have a sneezing fit and have none of the previous symptoms. Just weird, just off. Anyways, I'm doing better, but then it got passed on to my wife.
Cold
so
medicine?
It's wonderful. I generally try not to take anything. That's just by default. So whatever we have in the cabinet, my wife would know. I don't know. I took Claritin when I had allergy symptoms, and that really worked. But
I was gonna say, I swear by for my allergy stuff, I use Allegra.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay,
like any sort of head cold thing, like I go after that pretty hard.
Okay.
And what I do is I swear by Mucinex cold and sinus. Like
okay.
I will do, like, just to get through the day, and I'll take the nighttime dose so that you're getting like good rest. I swear by it though, man. Clears you out, like all that crap, like sinus. If it's sinus stuff or it's throat stuff, it just all that garbage. It just sort of like thins it out, clears it out, and I swear by it. I'm like,
one day it wasn't even like allergy symptoms. It was just like pressure in my head. So I had a massive headache for like most of the day, and then I took an ibuprofen. It was a lot better, but it's just so weird.
Yeah, I'm
just odd.
I'm just gonna throw that out there. We're not sponsored by Mucinex, but if we were,
but we should be.
We probably should be, because I'm telling you what, like sometimes I try not to do this, but like, you just got like, if it's like you got like a cold or something, like I'm not going to stay home every single time I got a case of the sniffles. So a lot of times what I do is I'm just like cold medicine and energy drinks, and we just power through that, like caffeine.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's probably not.
If you have something to focus on, it seems like you can power through it. But anyways,
those should be the two sponsors for the show. Energy drinks and cold medicine. What else do you need?
Dude, want to beat down your backlog?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm really into these Ghost energy drinks lately. That's like my go-to brand. If they like rolled up and were like, "Hey, you want us to sponsor the show?" I'd be like, yeah. Like I'd hold one up.
I'd be drinking it every episode, right? Oh, it's spooky. What is that? Ghost? Yeah. Anyways, outside of that, it's actually been good.
Free energy drinks.
Yeah. We've had a lot actually going on, so it's been kind of busy, and so that's been weird, juggling sickness while we're doing stuff as a family. We actually had a citywide, or not citywide, but there were like 10 different churches involved. We had a worship night over at the local college here, Simpson College, which was really cool just to have a bunch of churches together, formed a band of a bunch of the worship leaders and did that, had a few of the pastors speak and pray, and it was really cool. So that was cool. And then I preached on Sunday. So like good stuff. It's just weird because of the sickness as well that's been bouncing around the house. But anyways, that's what we Broccolos have been up to. Those are a few experiences that we shared, but we've got some more experiences to share of all different kinds.
Press start, what's on your mind? Books, go tracks, the best we can find. Cue it up, we're ready to play. Sharing the loot in a brand new way. XP share, plug in, let's go. Drop your favorites, let the pixels glow. XP share, we're leveling up. Time to pay, hit play, crank it up.
So we finally changed over our XP share song for everyone to enjoy. So I'm actually going to start us off here because one of the things that came to mind as I was thinking of experiences to share actually comes from that song when you shared it, Nate, because this is Nate's AI slop this time. The vocals kind of reminded, or maybe the melody, I don't know. At the time, it reminded me of a band called The Story So Far. And they're one of those bands that they write the same song over and over for a few albums. You know, a little bit of variation in that song, but they have a sound and they don't really stray from it. So the whole album generally sounds the same, but I like the sound. So I've been listening to them lately. So go check out The Story So Far. It's high energy pop punk, but it's more like old school raw. It's not like super produced pop punk. It's more punk than pop, if that makes sense. But it's pop punk. So, anyways, The Story So Far, I've been listening to them. They do have some parental advisory on some of the songs. So just be forewarned. There's some language there, but. Anyways, that came to mind. The other thing that I have to share is a book. If you heard that song,
Book.
book. What I have been reading lately, I got it from the library because it's spooky season, right? One of my favorite authors that I have not read in a very long time is Ray Bradbury. So I picked up just this collection of his short stories, The Stories of Ray Bradbury. And from the beginning, he has an introduction to it that talks about his life as a kid and what kind of got him into writing. He was born in 1920, I believe, but he calls it Drunk on a Bicycle, which I think is really funny. And it kind of makes sense after you hear it. It's not, anyways. But the first story in this collection of short stories, it reminded me why I like his writing so much. Because it just puts you in a time and a place, and he's really good at describing things and subtly giving you hints about things without coming out and saying it, to where you feel what he's doing more than it's on the forefront of your mind, if that makes sense. So anyways, those are just some experiences that I want to share. The story so far, and pretty much anything by Ray Bradbury I like, but been reading some short stories by him. So that's what I've got. Josh, do you have any experiences you'd like to share?
Yeah, a couple. My wife and I are still watching through Parks and Rec, and so I know you guys have talked about that in the show before, but I keep your guys' comments in the back of my mind while I watch the show. I'm like, okay, they said this about the show. Now I'm 5 seasons in. Is this coming true, or what do I think about these characters? So I don't know. We're so far into it that we just enjoy seeing the interplay of people's personalities and the antics and all the things that happen in that show.
That show, as a general rule, gets better, I think, with every season. That first season is really kind of like the low point, but I just think they really lean in. I would say I don't care for the last season as much, but I think like the way they just kind of like turn the volume up on each one of the characters is really fun. Like, so
I feel like the slope, if we're comparing The Office and Parks and Rec, the slope of The Office is it started really high and then it kind of got lower. And I haven't seen the end of Parks and Rec, but I feel like it's only gaining more ground, this upward slope, as I watch more and more of it. So I like it more and more. So
all the additions to the cast are really pretty great. Like, when they Adam Scott and
Ben
Rob
Wyatt
Lowe.
and
Ben Wyatt and
Chris Traeger.
Chris Traeger.
Yeah, Chris Traeger.
And Perkins.
Literally.
The greatest character ever created.
Anyway, it's been a fun experience. And then something I've been reading is a small book called Habits of Grace by David Mathis. And I'm prepping for a course I'm going to teach here in December at my church on just kind of reading and praying your Bible. And so this book is on spiritual disciplines, and I think it's it's very accessible. The chapters are not long, but he covers a lot of ground in a really compelling way. And he's not necessarily landing on like, this is the specific way you have to read your Bible. But some really wise principles he lays out. But he also talks about things like journaling or fasting or silence or just an array of spiritual disciplines, being in community, that I found it's very winsome. It's been really helpful. I've underlined a lot in the book, and that's always a good sign where I'm like, ooh, that's a good point. I like how he said that. That was a really good quote or whatever. So, yeah, great book.
Nice.
What was
I've
that one
heard of it.
called
I don't
again?
think I've ever read it. Habits of Grace.
Habits of Grace. Yeah.
That
And he
sounds
starts
familiar.
off talking about the means of grace and how God, being the God of all grace, then gives us these things that we can then be in receiving his grace. And I think that's a really helpful way of framing that. So when I teach my course, I actually want to start off with that. Instead of just thinking you have to be reading your Bible or praying, see this as a means of grace. Like we want to be doing these things because we want to receive God's grace. So, yeah.
It's awesome.
Cool.
It's really gracious, Josh.
Yeah.
Shut up. Dude, that was the worst. Man, I was kind of like feeling it, and then you just went and ruined it, man. Like I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty
That's
cool.
what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, as far as non-video game, gracious Josh, do you have any more non-video game related media that you'd like to?
Okay, so real quick, since you asked, I'm not going to say too much. I've already said something in the Discord, but I'm almost done with the latest Sanderson novel in the Stormlight Archive. This massive tome of a work. I'm almost done. I don't want to ruin anything, so don't spoil anything if you know the story, but it's getting better. I really want to watch some reviews on this book or listen to some reviews afterward, because I think you've said some comments, Nate, about Sanderson, and yeah, I just don't know. Like, I'm not sure where I'm at with him as a writer right now. I think there's some chapters where he's really good, and there's some parts where I'm like, what are you doing? Like, so
it's with Sanderson, I'm like, it's the world building. I think he can't carry plot to save his life, though. Like, and that's a little extreme. Like, because actually, I think like in daggone it, the Mistborn trilogies, like I think the plot in those is actually pretty punchy. But it's just like and frankly, I think the way he treats some of his characters, I'm just like, dude, there's just like a point where it's like, yeah, all I'm going to say is that with the Stormlight books, like I'm kind of keeping up with them. Like I have the most recent one in my audiobook library, and I at some point in time I'm going to listen to it. But like I just kind of like, when it's all said and done, I'm like, you have this, like, what it is he has these really clever systems, and he kind of can't help but like sort of like show them off. But I don't always think like the payoff's really great. You know what I'm saying? Like the actual books, I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know. Like, I think, and I am trying to withhold judgment until it's all done, because like that's the thing, is like he's telling a story, and like I think part of my problem is, as a general rule, like just that format, like the epic fantasy, like sort of chronicles, like, you know, the Robert Jordans, the George R.R. Martins, like all that stuff. I'm fatigued by it. And which is really awkward, because I'm actually subjecting myself. I'm going back through a series that I loved. Yeah, but it's the Malazan Books of the Fallen, by daggone it, what's his name right now? Steven Erickson. And I'm starting Gardens of the Moon, but I read those, like I listened to them years ago, and I'm re-listening to them now. And there's actually a podcast. It's called 10 Very Big Books, where it's like one guy who read these books and loved these, basically co-opted two of his friends to, like, he's like, hey, read these books and we'll do a podcast about it. And it's not always like family friendly, but it's really funny, because the one girl, she's like, yeah, I like books. She's like, I read all of Twilight. And it was just like, I was like, oh no, sweetheart, you have no idea what you're getting into here. Like, you're cooked. And so it's like, every episode she's like, this is stupid and I hate all these people and it's confusing, and I'm just like, oh, like it's not really, but it's kind of fun. But yeah, so that's actually like one of my things. It's like I've just been really kind of enjoying getting back into the Malazan Books of the Fallen. I think Steven Erikson is like a guy, I just like his style. He does tend to be like a little wordy and maybe even like a little purple, but he writes in like sort of a grimdark style. Like, so like his soldiers are pretty, yeah, I don't know. And I'm a sucker for that. I was actually talking with Parker, and there was a humble bundle where like apparently all the Glenn Cook Black Company books were in this bundle, and so he picked all of them up like on the cheap. And I was like, dude, I said, I really hope you like those. I said, and if you like those, have I got another series for you? And I was like, but anyways, um, in addition to that, the other thing that I've kind of been reading is actually a devotional. Um, it's called "Don't Look Away." Hold on, I have it here. Um, "Don't Look Away: The Horrors of Holy Scripture," and it's from the Uncommon Voices Collective, and I'm fairly certain I wanted to verify this before, but I'm fairly certain that it was Akastia had sort of recommended it in our Discord at one point in time.
Okay.
And I was trying to like sort of verify that, but I yeah. Anyways, so, and it's really pretty interesting. Like I was working, like I had gotten a book, The Psalms in 30 Days by Trevin Wax, in which I also strongly recommend. I don't know if I talked about that on the podcast or not. Probably did. But I picked that up,
so.
and I was using
Rings
that,
a
and I
bell.
actually plan on basically the remainder of October, November, December, just kind of like going through that book several times, and that's like it does like 3 readings and prayers, and there's a whole little like devotionals, but it runs you like there's some prayers and some, yeah. um i'll talk
Sweet.
I'll sort of go back into that at some point in time, but I decided to, like, I've owned this Don't Look Away book for like a year or two, and I was like, I want to, especially like in October, it's like it's spooky season, like horror, it feels like thematically appropriate, so it's pretty good. It's heavy, and it's kind of like cool, like the um I did miss a day. So the last one I had done was basically, it's the same one that I when I was talking doing my bite size I had talked about, but it's just like the horrors of it's talking like it was basically, so the story of Nebuchadnezzar when he was a beast. um and then it sort of brings in sort of the Brundlefly from the movie The Fly, and then Lampwick from the Pinocchio story. And it's talking about like transformation and sort of dehumanization and things like that. And it's just really some interesting thoughts in just regards to how like um how our sin turns us in, kind of, it makes us beastly. um and just that, even sort of in looking at, there's this idea, right, that Jesus as like the true man, right, the true Adam, and like, you know, is like he's really like the most human thing is to give yourself away, and as an image bearer, because like one of the things sort of God does, right, is that he gives, like that is, he gave creation. Yeah. Anyways, but it's one of the most human things you can do is give, and sin's tendency is to take and to and so it's this kind of like, when you do that, it sort of kills the true human in you. And now that's not all in that. That's some other stuff I've been reading and thinking on too. But it's like sort of bringing that all in together. Is that like our sin kind of turns us into monsters, and if it's unchecked, and it's like there are even times where it might seem appealing, and it kind of yeah, and it enslaves us, like, even sort of like looking at like Lampwick, right, from Pinocchio. And the particular example is like he was the boy that took Pinocchio to, like, in the Disney movie, they go to like the gambling parlor or whatever, and like they're kind of like they're behaving poorly, and they
Mhm.
start turning. That's when like Pinocchio gets the donkey ears and stuff like that. And what happens in the story, like I can't remember the Disney movie, but I know what happens in the fairy story is that Lampwick is turned into a donkey,
Mhm.
which, and then he's basically taken off and he's turned into a beast of burden in like a mine somewhere. And
Yep.
it's kind of like one of these things where even there, that's a picture. Like, he gives himself to these carnal pleasures, right? And then he becomes enslaved in them and enslaved to this labor, and it's just like there's an interesting picture there. And it's like,
Yeah.
and even looking at like Nebuchadnezzar, like, he sort of elevates himself. Like he gets this warning, like he has his dream. Daniel comes in and is like, hey, actually Daniel doesn't even want to translate the dream for him, but like
Mhm.
Nebuchadnezzar's just like, dude, come on, Daniel, just lay it on me. Like, I'm not gonna get mad. Like, I just need to know what this is about. And Daniel's like, okay, so what's gonna happen is God's gonna make you low. He's gonna like he's going to basically you're gonna be like a beast. He's gonna like you're gonna eat grass, you're gonna be kind of out of your mind. And Daniel kind of like begs with the king to repent, to keep from sin. And the king, sort of forgets the warning or whatever. And he's out on his balcony one day and he's like, look at my city. I did this. I did this. I'm awesome. And God's like, nope. And then he like loses his mind for 7 years. And he just like, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. And so it's just kind of, it's interesting. And even in that, that's like a bit of a mercy, right? It's a bit of a grace because like, and like, yes, it's judgment, but like, Nebuchadnezzar comes out of that and he praises God. He's like,
Mhm.
the God of Daniel, the God of Israel. He alone is worthy. And
Mhm.
so it's kind of, I don't know. So there's like, but I like the book. It is heavier. It is like there's a lot of reading. Um, it's like a few pages for each sort of thing, and then it asks some questions. But it's been really good. So I would
Nice.
recommend it. So yeah,
That's cool.
that is my non-video game related media. But we are a video game podcast, and we should probably talk about
Hey,
some of the games that we have been playing lately.
that's right. That's a good point. Since I
Yeah.
started last time, I'll start this time as well because I don't have that much to say. The game that I've been playing the most is Dredge, which I finished up, which we're going to be talking today. So that comes later, but I did finish it, and it was a good time. I enjoyed it. Spoilers. I enjoyed it, and we get to talk about it. The only other game that I've played is I started BioShock Infinite because I only have BioShock Infinite and Ninja Gaiden 2 on the NES left on my locked and loaded list. So I just need to finish those in the next 3 months, 2.5 months, 2 months, something
There
like
you go,
that.
man.
And then I'll get that knocked out. So started that, still in the opening, very reminiscent of the first game, just a different setting, but very similar of like, I don't know what's going on. Oh, things just got even weirder, but I'm in Utopia. This isn't going to last, is it? BioShock. Boom. So that's where I am in that game. The other game that I've been playing, and I wasn't even sure whether this should be an XP share or gaming because it's a mobile game, okay? And it's trash. Okay, it's not a good game. But I have been playing Ultraman Puzzle Schwatch, which is the sound that Ultraman makes. Schwatch. And it is basically, what's it called? Candy Crush with
It's a match
Ultraman
3.
coat of paint. Yes. It's a
match
match 3 game. And I am enjoying playing a game passively like this. And there's a lot that you can do without paying any money because I have not paid any money. And I've gotten Ultraman Omega on my team, who is the current Ultraman that's on TV right now. I have
did you
Ultraman
get
Zet.
Geed?
Oh, I just got G'd. Yeah, he's the current
Geedo.
Yeah, G'd Primitive is what I have. But he's not on my
Nice.
team because he's not powerful enough. I've got Ultraman Max is on there, and I got Alien Bolton earlier, and he's really strong. So, anyways, it's not a good game. I'm watching a bunch of ads in order to get some extra, power ups and things like that. But I'm enjoying my time with it. It has a tiny little bit. The thing with match threes is that it's all RNG. There's a little bit of strategy, making sure you're lining up certain ones to get to double up on powers and stuff like that. But I know it's all RNG. Well, that's just how it is. So, anyways, I don't even know whether to recommend it. I enjoy it, but it's also garbage. So that's what I've been playing. My current backlog score, beatdown score, for the year is -11 because I finished up Dredge. So that's where I'm at.
Nice.
Josh, what have you been playing?
Yeah, a couple things. Been playing a game. Well, besides Dredge, of course, that game had me hooked. By the way,
nice, real gin.
I did. And I've been waiting to say that one. No, I've been playing a game called. It's an odd title. It's called Tactical Breach Wizards.
Yo,
Tactical Breach Wizards.
I know that one.
This game. I love this game. Already, I love this game.
Okay.
One of my favorite games all time is Into the Breach. And I've not played XCOM yet. I need to correct that deficiency in my life. But if I think you take XCOM and mix in Into the Breach, this is kind of what this game is. And
cool,
because you have a kind of a team of special ops people, but they're all wizards. There's a necromancer, you've got your witch, you've got your guy who can kind of see into the future. You've got just a bunch of weird party of people. They're very quippy too. They always have these little conversations where they bust into a room, and then you can always see what the enemy is going to do. And then you have this real array of abilities that you can do to move the battlefield around to win. And the levels don't take a long time, and there's just so much. It's such a well-made game. And
nice.
I had known about it, and I looked forward to buying it, and I picked it up last year, and I've been playing it, and it's so good. So,
nice.
The only other thing that I've been doing, one thing I've been doing lately, this week has been the Steam Next Fest, and so typically in the past I've downloaded a few demos and just try a few games, but this week I actually did that with my boys, and we just downloaded a few that looked kind of fun, and just tried them out, and that was actually that was a lot of fun. Because we could just,
nice.
No strings attached, didn't cost us anything. Just find a couple co-op games, download them to my PC, try them out for a few minutes, see if they liked them, see if they didn't. Doesn't cost us anything. And
that's cool.
I'm trying to remember the name of it, but there's this game that we played. I think it's from the same maker as this game called Ultimate Chicken Horse. They're creating a new game. I don't know what the name of it is though, but it's kind of party platformer where it's a race. You have your character. You're trying to get from one side of the screen to the other, but every round you get to build the map, the racetrack, as it were, and so you can put different pieces in there. For some of my boys, it was kind of frustrating, but I thought it was hilarious. I could put a ramp at one point, and then the race would go, and we'd all have to try to get over the ramp, get to the end, and then someone else could put in like a big fist that would punch up and knock characters off, and so you're just constantly changing the track and adding elements, and it was fun to see my boys kind of start to wrestle with, well, what can I do to mess everybody up or help myself out or whatever. So
nice.
Yeah, so Steam Next Fest has been fun this week to try out some games. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Is it so was it Ultimate Chicken Horse or was it
I'm trying to remember the name of this game. I don't remember what it was.
Clever Endeavor is the name of the company, I guess. This is the
I feel like
developer.
it was from them because it was very similar in style, but maybe it was it's this one. It's called Ultimate Sheep Raccoon.
Okay,
of course.
yeah, I did
That's
just
right.
see that.
That's right.
Ultimate
Rolls right off the
Sheep
tongue.
Raccoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a fun co-op game. So
nice. Yeah, dude. Steam Next Fest. There's been seeing some things come out of it, and I'm like, ooh, it's problematic for me. Steam is a problem.
You know what's interesting? I won't go too far on this, but the game that we're going to talk about tonight, I was listening to something today, and Steam's Next Fest was a big deal for Dredge in becoming the game that it is today.
Huh.
So yeah.
The more you know.
Yeah. So do you have anything else you want to bring to the table as far as what you've been playing lately, Josh?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I can move through these pretty quickly. I did. I think I mentioned this last episode though too. Is like I did wrap up Astral Chain, but that, like I said, that was last episode. I mentioned that, and it didn't really change anything. That last boss fight is kind of cool. You just have to go in ready for it. There is like that last chapter, like the sort of like the prologue chapter. And I am kind of like, I do want to go through and see what that's about, but I think it's just like, it's kind of like one of those things like, hey, you could have it. Here's a chance to like clean up a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
So I don't think
I don't remember an epilogue. Huh.
Yeah, it's just like there's a final, like after you roll credits, there's like a final chapter, and there's like a thing. There's like things to do. Anyways. So
Cool.
I might go back to that, especially since I did in the last couple of weeks. I had wanted like a case holder sort of thing, and I had like a little travel case for my Switch too, but I ended up just kind of biting the bullet. And I really like D-Brand. I bought some plates that they had done, but they actually have like a grip sort of dock system called the Kill Switch 2. And it's a little pricey. I mean, I got like the full, like I kitted it out, but like the grips that it comes with are really nice. And there's this sort of it gives you this adapter that you can basically slide into your Switch dock, and then you can just load your Switch 2 sort of on the front. I'm not 100% sold on that, and that's mostly sort of like sometimes like you'll go to like put it on the front. Actually, it looks really nice, but like when you go to put it on, it doesn't always sit nicely. Like one time I was like, I thought I was docking it, but it wasn't on the USB connector the way that it needed to be, and so yeah. Anyways, but that's like, I don't know. Other than that, I think it's a really great piece of kit. I think it elevates the experience, but again, it is fairly pricey. So it's like one of those things where I'm like, hey, but I do think you're getting your money's worth with it. So I think the D-Brand Kill Switch 2, I believe, is pretty awesome. But as far as what I've been playing in addition to things, so I have been sort of just like, putting my head down in sort of Pokemon Arceus for a while, or Arceus.
Hey,
I have thoughts.
Nice.
I'm just gonna say I have thoughts. We're gonna be doing an episode on that in the nearish future, and so I do want to save some of those for that. But yeah, I've been playing that.
Sequel just recently came out, so make sure you've got that one in the bag.
Not scoring as well as I would like, I'll be honest.
Oh, really?
Is it? Did you draft that in the critics in the Brochacha League?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
fine, but come on.
Right.
Yeah. So, other than that, over the last like 2-3 weeks, I haven't really been playing anything. I did beat Dredge, so that would give me another -1. And so this last week I sat down and I went through all of my Discord posts, and then I have like a physical list that, like I have a look term journal that I keep notes and stuff in, and I sort of did a backlog beatdown calculation. It currently has me at -5, and that's but I did pick up Hades too. So I'm at a -5. I think I'm just going to do a bite-sized at some point in time and just sort of say, hey, this is where I'm at, just like, because it's dumb and be like absolutely mindless content. And I'm sure somebody'd watch it.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
It's mindless. Someone will like it.
it's out there for someone. So I'm playing, like I said, I'm playing Arceus currently. I have thoughts. It's like, yeah, but I'm gonna save those. So I've just kind of been dabbling. Haven't done really too much as far as like, playing anything super consistently. But there's this game that I've been hearing about for a while. And it's available on Game Pass and PlayStation Extra, but it's called Sword of the Sea. And
Okay.
it's this very, like, if you're familiar with Journey, it's very like Journey coded. Um and you just kind of like, you do like this, it's like Tony Hawk kind of like skating around doing tricks on a sword thing. And it's really cool, and it's supposed to not be that long. I haven't beaten it yet. Asher, get out. Thanks, dog. He apparently, my wife just let him in, and now he's all excited. But yeah, it's cool. It's not supposed to be too long, and I'm really liking it. I think it plays really, really well. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I haven't beaten it yet, but I do tend to be slower when it comes to all this stuff. And but yeah, so that there's a demo for a game called Cairn. And it's basically sort of like a turn-based, physics-based rock climbing simulator thing. And it's really interesting. I don't know how I feel about it other than that. It's just like, it's a demo. So, you get in sort of like this vertical slice, but like you basically, you move each limb independently, and then you place it, and there's like a fatigue meter and stuff. And but it's also kind of cool. Makes me think about rock climbing in ways that I haven't. And I'm like, oh, so yeah.
So it's basically Death Stranding.
Shut up, you plebe. Like, just because you're the worst. No, it's way more. It's like, it's way more involved than that. It's kind of, it's like way more quappy, in the sense, like, you kind of, yeah, it's hard to describe, but it's like,
Okay.
you control each limb independently, and then you place them, and you try to like climb up. But it's also very like physics oriented, and you do hit this point where it's like your character is also like getting fatigued. So like you're looking for like optimal handholds and footholds and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's like, it kind of has like a turn. It's not really turn based, but it kind of like has like a sort of a turn based vibe to it. But speaking of QWOP, I also checked out the trial for Baby Steps, which is the Ben Foddy game. And oh boy. I'm not going to pull the trigger on it right away, but there's something about that game that just fascinates me. But it's rough. Like, I think it's going to be like one of those things, I'm going to play it and kind of be like angry the whole time.
Sounds lovely.
It's kind of like, if they, so each leg is basically assigned to a trigger.
Sure.
And you literally have to like depress the trigger so that he lifts his leg, and then you sort of lean the stick forward and he puts his foot down, and then you sort of like keep alternating that, and there's just sort of like rhythm. Like, it's like, if you didn't like Death Stranding, Josh Broccolo, you, I think, would hate Baby Steps, because it goes.
When will I ever live out my fantasy to be a giant baby?
He's not a giant baby. He's an incel. or something. I don't know. He's
A
a
giant
grown
baby.
man. He's a grown man that is also basically a child, and kind of
What
helpless.
do you do in the game? Are you supposed to do something while you walk?
You just walk, and
Just
but
walk.
it's like
So it's Death Stranding.
it's one of those things. Stop it!
I'm kidding.
Stop it! I'm gonna
I'm just being a
fight
turd.
you. Hey,
I'm just-
you know what? As a bit of foreshadowing, Spike, what I need you to do is when this video posts, I need a post of me punching Josh in the head through the internet. Not gracious Josh, but the other one, butthead Josh. You're not broccoli Josh anymore. You're butthead Josh.
that stinks.
Yeah.
Love it.
This is awful. But it's very like physics kind of. It's also very like physics oriented.
Right.
So the thing is, like, it is just about like walking around, and I was listening to some coverage on it, and the one guy was like, hey, like you can like sort of like golden path this, and it's like really easy. It's tedious, but it's actually like kind of easy. Like,
Okay.
he's like, but there's like all these like things sort of off the beaten path and all these like little side games and everything. And he's like, and if you do that, it actually makes the game like a lot more difficult, but it's also pretty worthwhile. So it's just like, it's weird and kind of, I don't know. It's just like, it's like one of those games that, and one of the reasons I wanted to even check it out is that Travis Northrop, aka Tie Guy Travis, over at IGN gave it a 9, and he's like one of the few people in like the games journalisming space that I'm like, no, I like actually think this guy kind of knows what's up. And he it's like he's just like, and so, and he doesn't give out tons of 9s. So for him to give this thing a 9, I was like intrigued. And then like I said, there's a trial on PlayStation, and I was like, I'm gonna check this out. And so it's weird, and I'm going to at some point in time I'm gonna pick it up. I just, yeah. So it's a thing. It's a thing, and I can see why a lot of people like bounced off of it and were like, nah, this isn't for me. But it's like, I think that it's one of those kind of like interesting pieces that like really kind of does challenge the medium of video games. And so I like that, you know, I like that part of it. So
cool. That sounds great. I don't even know how to respond.
Yeah. I don't know how to justify it really. I'm just curious. This thing looks like a dumpster fire. It might even be a dumpster fire, but I'm still intrigued. So, but yeah, like I had mentioned though, I did pick up Hades 2. Like, I kind of was just like, the way I'm justifying this is that the sequels to probably two of my favorite games of all time, Hollow Knight and Hades, came out this year. And it's
Right.
like these things were just easy, like they were locks for me. Like, I was like,
Sure.
and I was like trying to hold off, but I did beat Astral Chain before I got it. So I was like, I haven't played it yet. My goal is still to get to -10 before I sort of let my foot, like before I let myself fall into either Silksong or Hades 2. So yeah. But that being said, for anybody who's been watching, listening for any amount of time, you know what's coming. It's like, I'm going to talk about for a second about the beatdown. The beatdown is a meta, and this is for people who are new to the show. The beatdown is a meta that we run all year, where it's basically, if you buy games, you add to your score. If you play games, you take away from your score. It's meant to encourage you to prioritize the things you already own and to act as a bit of a, a bit of a friction point when it comes to acquisition. It's just there to sort of help you be a little more mindful. We like it, and if you want to check out the rules, they're posted in our Discord, or you can just shoot an email to Josh or to us over at the Backlog Breakdown at gmail.com or whatever, and we'll hook you up because we think it's cool. We think it's useful. But yeah, that being said, other things that might be cool and or useful, it's well, I don't know, maybe it's this podcast. We have a patron or Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month, you get early and uncut access to each and every episode. You have access to an exclusive podcast called The Bro Hang, which is usually just Josh and I talking about whatever. Most of the time, it's just kind of ridiculous and funny. Um, but sometimes, and actually, I'd say the most recent one is a little heavy, a
Yeah.
little
Got serious.
serious. But yeah, in addition to all of that, so you get the early and uncut access, you get the bro hang, you also have the opportunity to hop on like our friend Gracious Josh is doing tonight. You have the opportunity to hop on episodes with us or nominate like games or topics for us to cover. So you also get just a little bit more access to us. Yeah. So there's that. And yeah. Also, we like you more if you're a patron. Because yes, you can buy our love. You can buy our love. Our love is for sale. Well, maybe not our love, but at least like our sort of affection. But yeah, if
This
you're
is getting
interested in
weird.
that, for like I said, yeah, that's what I do. I make things weird. Like Josh is just like it's his bad wordplay, and I just make things weird. Um, so, but if any of that sounds interesting to you, or you'd like just to maybe think of it, you can think of it as a tip jar, or you can think of it as a way to partner with us as we sort of do this thing. So if you like what we're doing here and you've done the rating and the reviewing and you've done the sharing and the caring and you want to go a little bit above and beyond, check us out over on Patreon. Last but surely not leastly, we're part of the Playwell Network. We have a bunch of friends over there. We love those guys. We love their content, and we think you should check it out. So here's a word from one of them.
Hey gamers, Phil here, owner of Phil's Gaming Emporium, the #1 spot for the hottest retro games in town. You want a copy of Star Fox 64? Boom, only $149.99. Minty clean. How about this pristine Super Mario World? A steal at just $249.95, and that's with the label intact. You won't find prices like that anywhere else, at least not for people who know what they're doing.
And we're back. So tonight, folks, we're going to be talking about Dredge. It's and I don't know, like, I guess like the way to start this off is like I'm really curious. I'm really curious to. I guess we'll sort of start off with like with this question, like, how did this game come on everybody's radar? Because like it was like one of those things that I remember seeing it and like the trailer for it, and I think it was before it even released. And I was just like, that looks really interesting. And so when it came out, I bought it the year it came out, which
Okay.
I will do some Googling here, but just
Yeah, I remember when it came out that it was around, and I've said this before, that it was around the same time as Dave the Diver. So it seemed like a lot of the fishing games were getting kind of popular around, especially like indie style fishing games. Just had a good year, man. And I mean, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I think this one's a good catch for sure.
For real, dude. You know what? You need to be quiet for a while. So, Gracious Josh,
Oh my goodness.
what put this game on sort of on the map for you?
Yeah. I'm sure I heard about it. I've been subscribing to PC Gamer for the magazine for
Okay.
a year or two, so it probably showed up there as a preview, I'm guessing. But I picked it up in a Humble Bundle choice earlier this year, and it was just a collection of games. And I like Humble Bundle and I don't like Humble Bundle, but that's a whole other conversation. So many games like I do not play, but there was one of those games, and then I heard you guys talking about it as one game you would possibly play, and so I said, oh yeah, it sounds good, and it wasn't too scary, so yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. So just pulling up like the Wikipedia page here real quick though. And well, I guess not so gracious Josh, butthead Josh.
Mhm.
How you know, yeah, I know you said you talked about like the Dave the Diver sort of connection, but
Mhm.
yeah.
It was one of those indie games that kind of rises to the top where you
Mm.
hear about it a lot. It's not necessarily just hidden like a lot of indie games are. And so it was well known, and just the the regular mechanics of the game. Sorry, Josh is just holding his face. And you so it's making me laugh. Anyways,
Well, if you weren't
I
being
do
so
I do actually.
painfully
Mhm.
punfully obvious.
Punglia.
Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but no. Anyways, I do actually mean that metaphorically as well. Like, there's lots of indie games that fly under the radar, and this was not one of those. And because I enjoy me some cosmic horror, so it was on my radar. I think I had gotten it from Amazon Prime Games. They give away games every month, and so it was already on my radar. Not intentionally a pun. That's sonar, right? Underwater. Anyways, it was there because it was pretty well acclaimed for an indie game, but then when Amazon was giving it away, it's like, okay, cool. So this one will, like, I actually plan on playing this
yeah.
in the not so distant future. So then when you had brought it, I believe that you had brought it up as one of the possible games to play for a spooky game in October. I was all for it because it seems a lot up my alley, and it is. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So just it was released in 2023. The sort
Yeah,
of the
there you go.
categories here that or the category that Wikipedia assigns to is a fishing horror role playing adventure game. I'm like, okay, that
Role playing. That's interesting.
well,
Okay. Just because you upgrade things, I guess.
maybe I don't that one feels like a bit of a stretch, but I would say like
Yeah.
a fishing
Yeah.
horror adventure game sort of feels
Yeah.
pretty appropriate. It's pretty much it was developed by Black Salt Games, published by
Mhm.
Team 17. Team 17 is actually that's the people behind the Worms, like they're the Worms games.
Okay. Okay.
That's like that's kind of like their big thing. They've published a good bit of stuff, but yeah. So and just like to sort of like put my cards on the table, this was very much like this game is kind of uh what I refer to as like Nate bait, where I was like, okay,
It's
like
a
at
good one.
first, like
I like that
the
pun.
fishing part of it, I was like,
Wait, worms are Nate bait or dredges?
Dredge is a game
Okay.
that would qualify as Nate bait.
Gotcha. Okay.
You
What makes it
chum.
Nate bait?
Well, it's so like the fishing sort of like the trailer shows like the boat sort of like putting around, right? And I'm like, okay, like whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like it shows the boat like fleeing from like Cthulhu-esque monsters. And it's sort and I'm like, then it's like that's like it's the wrinkle. It's like I'm a sucker for a game that does something interesting and different. And it's like this
Mhm.
kind of like it looks like, oh, like a little like cozy like fishing game kind of thing. Like, okay. Like and like but then it's like, oh, but also like Cthulhu is coming to get you. And I'm like,
Mhm.
like at that point in time, like it's just like, like the sort of like my eyes light up and I'm like, oh yes. Yes.
Mhm.
It's I don't know, like fishing in general, like I've played some fishing games over the years. Probably the one that and it's I don't know if I really qualify is but this as a fishing game, but it's got fishing in the title and it is technically a fishing game, but it's ridiculous fishing. Um which
Hmm.
is I think it's available on a bunch of different stuff, but it's primarily I played on my iPhone. Um
Okay.
Ridiculous fishing is something totally different where it's sort of like it uses the gyroscope and you sort of get your hook down as far as you can and then when you hit something on its way back up, like the hook, like it basically starts auto reeling, and then you just sort of like you use the gyroscope, you tilt your phone to like try and hook as many fish on your way back up, and then when they come out of the water, they fly up into the air, and you tap the screen to shoot them. It's ridiculous, and I played the mess out of that for a while, but yeah, so it's just like, and I think too, like the art style, like I'm a sucker for like a really cool aesthetic, and this isn't like wildly like visually, like just the boat and the islands and everything. It just kind of has like, not that sort of like low poly, but it sort of has like a like a lower poly feel. Like it's not super polished as far as like the graphics, the representation, but even like with the character art and everything else, it's like there's something about just the way that they present the characters that I'm like, I actually just kind of like the style of the game. So but primarily it's like, it's the hook. Like, give me a good twist, give me a good hook. Not that kind,
really
you
in.
weirdo. You degen. Just absolute degen energy over there, man.
You said it.
Yeah, but you said it. Anyways,
I don't know why you're so crabby.
yeah. Anyways.
Let's reel this back in, guys. Reel it back in. Come on.
Oh, no, don't.
I gotta say
no.
something.
No, you don't. That's the thing, is like, you don't have to say something like that. Like, that was a choice, and it was a poor one.
Yeah, I'd say the style grew on me. Honestly, at first I was kind of meh on the style, but I don't know. After playing it for a little while, then it kind of clicked. It's more kind of comic booky. Who's the guy that does what's it called?
Mike
Hellboy.
Mignola.
Okay, there you go. Somewhat reminiscent, not full on his style, but somewhat reminiscent.
It's
of
got
that.
kind of like that blocky chunkiness to it. Lots of high contrast, like chunks of shadow kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Which fits the aesthetic of the horror, like stressful, cozy game.
Well, and I think that's like in the description here in the notes, Josh, you wrote down it's a Lovecraftian horror themed fishing game where you play as a fishing captain who fishes for fish. Really?
And
Harvest
more.
Moon and more. You catch more than just fish. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
But you kind of the touch points you give here is like Harvest Moon / Stardew Valley meets Darkest Dungeon. I don't think that's entirely inappropriate. Like, it is kind of very cozy game ish, but then there's like this weird pairing up with like the cosmic horror thing, and I actually think that's kind of like one of the more interesting things about the game, because like there is like this like little cozy game loop, right, where it's like you sort of go out and you do the like you build the bigger boat and you build the better crab pots and you get the better nets and you get the better rods and you get the better engine, and it's that sort of like that almost like Animal Crossing kind of like just bigger and more refined kind of thing. I do personally, I like one of the things I sort of did enjoy too, just mechanically, was organizing your catches on the boat. Reminded me a lot of like organizing your suitcase or your briefcase in Resident Evil 4. And I was like, this is my zone. Like, I was like, how can I maximize this catch here and like sort of get all the things in there. But yeah. So
yeah, it feels like it's the beginning of the game is like this cozy fishing game, but then it has this sinister undertones, and I liked how it eased you into that, especially that first area that you're in. What's it called? The Marrows. You're just kind of getting to know the characters. You're getting to know how fishing operates, all that stuff. But as you talk to people, as you start to fish and get certain kinds of fish, you realize something's going on. There's something not right. people are kind of freaked out about certain things. They're talking about the previous fishermen that were here that didn't make it. Like, what's going on, right? And then if you stay out too late, it gets so stuff starts happening on the water, and you're like, so. And even like the game, like the high contrast or like the music begins to fade out, I think, at night, and it
Yep.
gets really dark and suspenseful and tense. And you're like, what? I shouldn't be out here, right? I should go back to port. So I thought they did a really nice job in this game of onboarding you both into the mechanics and the story, and slowly kind of, I guess, reeling you in. I know, reeling you into what's going on, what's really going on. So.
Yeah.
Well, and even sort of I just kind of love the progression too, because like at the beginning of the game, like even going from like the main little town, like I think it's called Greater Marrow, to Lesser Marrow, like, and it's just like right across like this bay basically. And it's like even going there, it's like it felt like dangerous and risky, and you're like, oh. And then by the like, and it's like, and originally when it sort of shows you the map, and it's like, hey, there's going to be all these spaces, you're like, I don't like any of that. Like, I don't know. I don't like the idea of any of that. And I think for me too, it's kind of one of those things where I have two pretty foundational fears, right? I have a pretty intense and completely irrational fear of just falling from a great height to my death. But the other one is like being stranded in the ocean. Like, to me, like it's like if you're like, hey, what's the most horrific way that you could die? And I'm like, oh, probably those two. Like, I know that falling from a great height would be like relatively over relatively quickly, but in that like 30 seconds or however, it'd just be like pure terror. And it's like, yeah. Anyways, there's just a part of me that's like, nah. I mean, like, dying painfully or awkwardly but like deep water freaks me out. That, all that being said, like deep water freaks me all the way out. Like, I don't like the ocean. Like anytime a game is like, hey, swim in this like deep water, I'm just like, I don't trust you. I don't trust you, like, and so like part of it, even the premise of like, hey, take your little boat and go catch some fish and like go into like the seas. I'm just like, like this makes me like mildly uncomfortable. And it's something that like I sort of get over as I spend time doing it. But like I said, I just think it's really interesting how, like, at the beginning of the game, going from Greater Marrow to Lesser Marrow feels like it's just like, oh, this is really scary. And then by the end of the game, like, like full disclosure, like I'm just like ripping around all over the ocean. I don't care. Like I'm like, I don't care. It's like middle of the night. I'm like, come at me, like sea ghosts. Like, come get some.
Yeah. One of the things I was watching or listening to a documentary they had made on this game on YouTube, and one of the things that I found interesting about that was originally when they made the game, the time cycle was accelerated when you were moving your boat, and it was really slow when you were fishing. And then at one time, one of the developers was like, we need to flip that. That moving around is going to be kind of normal, but when you fish, it takes more time. And I thought that was really effective because it's often where I wanted to get somewhere and I needed to get something, but then the getting of that whatever debris or a fish type or whatever took so much time, and the sun was going down, and it's all of a sudden the tension's rising as you're out there trying to get the thing, trying to reel it in real quick, because you're not sure what's going to happen. I thought that was really effective. The day-night cycle too was helpful in bringing the tension in.
Yeah, and even though it's like you were sort of alluding to it, but the way that the clock works is that like anytime you're doing something, basically, like if you're just standing still, the clock stops. So like you can organize your inventory to your heart's content with little to no penalty. But like the minute you're actually doing something, like you're moving the boat or you're fishing or you're dredging or whatever, like at that point in time, the clock is moving. and that's when it's like, yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's I think it's really clever. Like, it's just like, oh, like that's like a really kind of like neat hook there in a lot of ways. So
yeah, no, that's so too.
That's cool.
So.
That's cool. To double back on just a couple thoughts that you guys had, I agree, Josh, the way that they onboard you throughout the beginning of the game. I just have to also mention the sound design of the game. Like the first time you catch an infected fish and the boom, like just the weirdness, the sound that the game makes of just like, oh, this is like something's wrong.
Right.
It's like you shouldn't have this on your boat. You know, like there's this fish is malformed and has an extra row of teeth, and you know, like looks like it's suffering. Something's not right here.
Right.
And I think I overall there wasn't anything particular. I didn't notice music at all in the game, but I do think the sound design for the game hits. It does what it needs to do in getting you unsettled and in communicating to you what's going on. You know, the creaking of the boat and things like that you get. So the thing that I wanted to comment about your thoughts, Nate, about fear in general is I would agree with you with the deep water in general in life, also in video games. But rather than falling, for me, it's more along the lines of claustrophobia. So like going into caves, and I think like being stuck in a cave would be so much worse that like being stuck to where I can't move, having my hands and feet tied. Like that's a bigger fear for me. Like to where I don't know that I'd be able to breathe very well. You know, like I hear stories of people spelunking and how they have to crawl, you know, on their bellies and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, get me out of it. Like,
dude,
no, what have I done to deserve that? That's, I can't do that. Anyways, we're just talking about fears here. But yes, the fear of deep open water. And it's games like this that show you why, because you don't know what's down there.
Well, just as a kind of an interesting, what I thought was interesting too is like, and so like I make no bones about the fact that like I really enjoy like Nephilim and like thinking about the Nephilim and all that stuff, and like ancient
weird stuff
and even a lot of the culture, but during like, you know, sort of like pre-Christ Israel, and even in time of Christ, like they had a really adverse relationship with large bodies of water. That's where the demons lived. Like that's where that was bad news. And they had like and so it's just like the way I sort of see it and justify it to myself is like, oh no, it's like, yeah, that's where the things that shall not be named live. You know, but
Leviathan, right?
That's where Leviathan lives. Yeah. And it's kind of like one of those things where, I do think like it's an interesting, it's just like how, and a lot of times like, and even people who there are people who like love the sea but like they love the beach. Right. And then there are people who just like, they love being on the ocean or being on the sea. You're like, you know, but it's like, I think for most people there is this kind of like, it's like this big, like when you think about like all the things that you can't see that are there and underneath, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a very uncomfortable, it's like very disquieting. And I think like this game just kind of leans into that. And then I think one of the other things just in sort of like thinking about the way, like the fear that it evokes is like you Broccoli Josh, you mentioned like the weird, like when you find like the mutants or the what do they call them? The
aberrations.
There you go.
And it really kind of, actually, I think it sort of like, it's really kind of interesting because it kind of like, it's like, it doesn't shy away from the Lovecraftian nature of it all, right? Where it's like, and I really like that. Yeah, I think the only thing they could have done better is like as the game progressed, like if the inhabitants had become like more like fish like or something, like really like just like been like, no, we're just gonna like Lovecraft this thing all the way to 11. Um, but I just thought like even that it was like it was kind of interesting because it was the closest thing that I'd ever played to sort of like existing in a Lovecraft kind of novel. Like it felt
Mhm.
very much like this could have been a story that Lovecraft
Mhm.
or like the roots, the bones of a story that Lovecraft himself wrote. And I was like,
Yeah.
I really like that. And then having sort of, I think, a really great, like even the style of the game's art, I think really kind of leans into that sort of grotesquerie.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
I think that's a really good point because oftentimes when we say Lovecraft, we think of like cosmic horror on top of gothic horror, like
Mm-hmm.
Bloodborne,
And it
which
can be
is
that.
reminiscent of it. It can be, but you're right. A lot of Lovecraft's most popular, I was going to say novels, but they're not novels. They're short stories generally. Like At the Mountains of Madness or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It is more maritime, going off into islands and
Mm-hmm.
where these indigenous people are worshiping this elder, the old ones and things like that. So this is actually, it evokes more of that kind of classic Lovecraft. And you have your what Boy on the Farm stories as well that encounters the cosmic horror as well. They all kind of share that, but some of his most popular stories are much more about sailing, not even the sailing, but the creatures in the deep,
Mm-hmm.
and you only hear whispers of them on these islands, these more indigenous peoples and things like that. So
Well, and even
that's a really good point.
the behavior of the characters, like the fishmonger in Greater
Mhm.
Marrow, like
Mhm.
he opens you up to aberrations because it's like you find one and he's like, "Can I have that?" And then it like
Yeah.
goes and describes what he does with the fish, and it's like, "Oh, this is a little untidy and unpleasant." It's
Mhm.
like, this doesn't feel great. Um,
I do want to just say also, you mentioned this earlier, and I'm not going to give any details because this is only the lightest of spoilers, but there is a character that you come across that if you look at him closely, he does have scales on his arms. But
oh,
that's
we'll have
all
to,
that I'll
when we
say about
get
that.
into spoilers, you're gonna have to disclose
Spoilers.
that because
Mhm.
Yeah,
I don't know that I recognize
I
that.
don't think I picked up on that one. So,
Mhm.
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
I think one thing I was gonna say, because I'm not usually someone who signs up for a Lovecraftian kind of, uh, part of a game, but I don't really gravitate toward that kind of stuff. But that kept me playing this game and kind of venturing farther and farther into the lore and into the
Mm-hmm.
story were just some of those basic mechanics that I thought were compelling and
Mm-hmm.
enjoyable. So you've already mentioned, organizing your ship. I thought that was very well done. But I also thought the fishing. I mean, this is a fishing
Mm-hmm.
game,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and the fishing mechanic is simple, but it varies based upon the kind of fish that you're doing. Some are
Mm.
actually harder to catch, I found, than others.
Mhm.
It's not the same technique every single fish. I think originally they actually had that. I was listening to what they said. Playtesting revealed they needed to change that. They did that before release, which was brilliant. And
Mhm.
I just enjoyed like, okay, this is a new kind of shark I'm trying to get or whatever. Oh, I have to click there, I have to click there to get the fish. But it's also not too brutal. Like eventually, if you don't do anything, I think you'll eventually catch it. You just won't get as much. Um, but if you're
Yeah.
able to click it on the right spots, it'll come up faster, or you can get a trophy fish, which is worth even more money.
Mhm.
All that stuff, or having the right equipment on your boat so you can go to
Yeah.
certain parts now and get certain fish, just makes it very rewarding to keep kind of progressing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
well designed.
Even like, the gating with equipment that like certain
Right.
types of environments, like there's that one, it's like the swamp kind of area where it's like you have to
Mhm.
have the silt net in order to get anything, and you like, and just like even like the different types of rods and how they kind of let you do different things. Yeah, it's a really, I do love the fact, like you mentioned too, that like with the fishing, there's like there's probably half a dozen, seven, at least half a dozen. It might even be pushing like closer to 10 different like little mini games that they introduce for the different breeds and types of fish. And it's like, yeah, you're right. It's like it's really fun. Like, and dude, I don't know, like anytime I got like that yellow bar or the yellow ball or whatever, I was like, ooh, ooh, we holding out, son. We're holding out. We're gonna do this. Like,
Right. Yeah. Exciting.
yeah.
And the mini games are never more than like something you'd see in like a I don't mean to downplay this, but like a WarioWare game.
Yeah.
Like they are very simple. And I think overall this is a very easy game in terms of
Mechanically.
like, what it takes from you in order to finish it. But that makes it satisfying. I think that's why it slots into this cozy realm in my mind, and why I mentioned it's sort of like a Harvest Moon Stardew Valley of like, you improve this area, you catch the fish to make money, but then you use that money to improve your ship or your nets or your reel so that you can catch these better fish, or you can catch the fish in this other area, or you do these different things, and so you're building it up. But it's overall like, there's not it's a very simple, well, I say very simple, it's just it's an easy game. Like mechanically it doesn't ask too much, but it's satisfying at the same time.
And that's the thing, it's very satisfying. It's very reminiscent to me of like Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing?
In the sense where it's like there's not a ton of complexity to the mechanics of the game. There's like, and even sort of like the beginning of the game, it's like you start out with a little bit of debt, and it's like, and you have to pay off your debt. It's a very Tom Nook-esque kind of like, it's like, hey, we're going to give you another boat, but now you owe us. And so all the money all the money that you make, we're going to take a little bit of cut until the boat's paid off. Right. And then there is that's sort of like the upgrading, like getting the bigger boat, getting more materials, but like mechanically, it's all like it's not super complex. It's just they're very well designed systems that just kind of like, hey, like, and it gives you a little bit of variety, like. Because like even in the same area, like you go up to a spot and it's like, okay, you go to fish, and it's like, if it's a different type of fish, you're probably going to get like it's variations, but you're going to get a different mini game, and it changes up the pace just enough to like kind of keep you in, and I don't know. I think it's like, it's like all those systems are really, really great. So that's a really great point, Gracious Josh, in the sense that like, it's just really good. It's not it's not like super complex. It's actually pretty minimal in its design, but it's just executed on like masterfully. And just kind of keeps you.
One of the.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, one other piece about that kind of keeps you moving forward is, I thought they did a nice job of, there is a nice array of characters you're going to encounter across the islands. Just different characters. Some are really weird. I guess they have scales. I didn't know that, but like I never felt like the dialogue with those characters was very long, which was for me nice because I want to get back to fishing. I want to get back to exploring and figure out what in the world is going on here. And these characters are helpful. Like I can alert, they're kind of giving me tidbits about the world and story and the lore and all that. But I was never dragged into like long text. I mean, also there's an encyclopedia for your fish. If you want to learn more about these fish that you're catching, you can look at the encyclopedia. You don't have to. But there's all this stuff where you can do more if you want, but it doesn't like, I guess it respects your time and allows you to get back to the thing that I'm enjoying the most, which is the mechanics, the fishing, the story, beats, that kind of stuff. So,
and even sort of with some of the upgrade stuff, so there's like you can find the different books or earn different books, and you can sort of like you equip it, and then once you've read it, it sort of gives you a passive technique. So whether it's usually has something to do with like harvesting, so it makes it like you're less likely to drain a spot, or that you get a slightly better price when you sell your fish or whatever, or they stay fresh a little longer. It's like these like sort of like pretty like minimal passives, but even there, it's just kind of like, oh, hey, cool. Like I'm going to equip this and then I'm going to learn it. And then once I learn it, it's just, it's there. And it's kind of like, I like that system, even something like that, where it's just like, it kind of gives you something a little bit on the back end that you can do in addition to. It's like, you don't have to do any of that, but it's like, if you do, like, hey, cool.
And when you say read the book, what happens in the game, we should clarify, is someone will give you, like a character will give you a book, like, hey, I hope this is helpful on your journey. All you do is kind of equip the book so that while your character is navigating throughout the world, he's reading the book. But really, it's just the bars filling up, and then eventually you'll get some kind of passive buff. But it's not like you have to sit there read through pages and pages of a book.
No,
You're
it just
not
takes
doing
care
that.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just takes care of it as you're doing stuff in the world. So.
But yeah, and it makes sense, sort of like it sort of fits the world though too, because it's like, like, yeah, the captain's gonna be steering the boat, but it's like some of that's probably gonna be like sitting on his duff a little bit, and kind of just making sure. I mean, I don't know anything about like sailing or boats or anything, so yeah. Anyways, so
Yeah. Even just this conversation, it brings to mind something that I didn't notice until now, is that I always felt like going out to fish for the day, like bringing in the fish, loading up your entire boat and then going to the fishmonger, whoever, and selling your fish. It always was enough that it felt worth my time, if that makes sense. Like, it was never too little that, like, oh, I felt like I have to, fish for 4 days in order to get that upgrade that I want. Like, no, it did that without, there's a part probably 3/4 into the game where you've gotten all your upgrades and money is pretty much no object. But it takes a while to get there. So it always feels like, okay, next I want to upgrade this. Next I want to do this. Next I want to do this. For most of the game, it's up until the very end of the game. At which point you're like, okay, I'm invested in the story. Like, I want to figure out what's going on. So at that point, like, it's not, you're already invested. It doesn't feel like, oh, there's nothing else to do in the game. So I think what I'm saying is that I think this game was balanced really well, that you were paid well for your time in what you decided to do, which is really cool for an indie game, because they don't have, rounds of polish and testing and retesting and things like that, the same way that a AAA studio generally does have those things in place. So
there's no bloat here in this game. It's
right.
It's a very tightly made game in terms of mechanically. Story is pretty tight. It could be a little clearer, I think, at times, but
sure, yeah.
it's very tightly made. There's not a lot of waste of stuff. I mean, you can go explore and fish as much as you want, but eventually you're gonna probably want to advance the story. So, but it's always pretty clear how to do that. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, sort of even just like and maybe sort of this is kind of where we can sort of wind down some of the conversations, just talking about like mechanics and sort of general overview stuff. But like, what's so kind of like special about this game is that it's a lot of these really understated things that you don't pay any attention to if they're good, kind of thing. Like, but they just sort of, they've got all the bones just like sort of really just lined up really tightly. Like, the structure is really good, like the systems are really good, and it's all this stuff, like the menus are really good, like all this stuff that you normally don't pay attention to and that you don't think about. Like, and it's just sort of a game that leans into that and does all that stuff really well, and it kind of like skips past all of, do you know what I'm saying? Like, you notice those things like when they're bad, like when there's a bad mini game,
it's
or
an
it's a
annoyance,
bad
for
inventory
sure.
system, or it's a bad upgrade system, or it's a bad economy, right? But it's like, and they just like took all these things that are fairly minor kind of in some ways in their own set, in their own respects, and they just sort of like, they executed, like they just killed it. And I think that's a really interesting thing, that this game in a lot of ways, it's not a technical powerhouse. It's just, this game is sort of, it is tight, but it's tight in a very understated way. Like, and I really appreciate that. Like this isn't like there's no like bombastic like sort of like control schemes or anything. It's just very subtle, and I really appreciate that. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that
Yeah.
there's something to be said about like sort of again like when you have sort of these understated, really subtle things, and they're just done really well. That in it of itself is like kind of a triumph for me. So
Mm-hmm. And to me, it blows me away that this is this studio's first game. Like,
Oh, is it really?
I
Wow.
think it is, and I don't think they expected this game to do as well as it did. Obviously,
Yeah.
and I'm just amazed. Like, there's AAA studios that couldn't even make this, because they're so focused on so many other priorities that ends up messing up the game, filling it with bloat. Whereas this is the
Mm.
beauty of indie games.
Yeah.
That a new publisher like this, a new developer like this, can put forth a game like this on their first try. It's amazing to me. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good point. That because that's something we've talked about in the past on other episodes is just the over ambitious nature of a lot of AAA games nowadays, and how this one had it's not trying to be more than it is, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. It is a 10 to 15 hour experience, depending on how much you want to do, whatever. And it doesn't try to load you down. Like even with I talked about how you do hit a cap of what you can upgrade before. I don't know, for me at least it was well before I finished the game.
Yeah.
um I think there was potential for just giving you like 50 different possible upgrades, so you're constantly kind of going
Right.
after the next thing. That's just not even you don't feel how beneficial these upgrades are, because there's so many different little things, and instead they kind of dialed it into like, no, you can have 8 different fishing rods, okay.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are just better versions of older ones. It wasn't trying to overwhelm you with everything. It's like, no, we understand you can put in this amount of time, and if you want 100% it, you can do that in a reasonable time too.
Right.
So yeah,
yeah, and
appreciate
it's
that.
just
I didn't realize it was made by a studio from New Zealand either. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I
What were
actually
you saying,
pulled
Nate?
up. I actually pulled up their website, Black Salt Games
Mm-hmm.
website, and it's a really small team. It's basically 3 devs and a project manager, and
Wow.
yeah, that's really the bulk of the studio. And the only thing that they have done is Dredge, and it won. It just sort of got like critical reward. It got a lot of different. Oh, I'm trying to sort of like look here. It was game of the year in South by Southwest Sydney. Um,
Hmm.
it was part of the official selection of the London Games Festival in 2023. Bit Summit Let's Go. I don't know what that is. So it got more than a few awards and nominations. And it was like one of those games that was just sort of like all over the place, like that everybody was kind of talking about. So, but yeah, it's a small team.
Cool.
Yeah, and
I think
it's
I
pretty.
heard that on their first day of going live with the game, that they had more sales in that one day than they had expected for over a whole year. They did it in one day.
Wow.
That's how much traction they already had from like Steam Next Fest and these other probably places where they showcased it. That there was so much buzz about the game as an indie game. So it's just, yeah, it's just exciting for them. And obviously they made some DLC. I haven't played those, but they made a couple
Mm-hmm.
DLC, which is great for them. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too, and I'm not trying to like. I'm sure there are some really great devs, but Team Cherry, I think, is from so New Zealand and Australia are 2 different countries, but
Mm-hmm.
they are the same sort of geographic region. And Team Cherry,
Mm.
another like sort of indie darling, that's like 3 or 4 dudes,
All right, guys, you caught Nate mid-thought there, but he had to drop out. He has some family obligations for the rest of this recording session. So, fortunately, he's not going to make it. Well, he's not here. He jumped ship on us, and he's wading back to shore. Anyways, where we are with this game, both of us obviously we recommend the game. We've got some good stuff that we have said already about this game, and I think we're about ready to go into some spoiler territory. So before we get to spoilers, the only thing that I'd say is that I think the game is recommended. We'll loop back around to some too long didn't listen after our spoiler section here in a moment. But Josh, do you have anything else you want to address before we take a look at spoilers?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm ready to go.
Okay, then here's your official spoiler warning. There we go. This spoiler. So if you haven't played the game already, you're going to get some stuff spoiled, which honestly, I don't think is too integral. I mean, I definitely wanted to see the story, and that was driving me forward. I don't think it's going to be your playthrough is going to be completely ruined if you know some spoilers, because the mechanics are still so solid, and it's a good time to play no matter what. Anyways, what should we spoil?
Well, I mean, so here's one of the things I did. I used AI to.
Okay.
I typed in, "Hey, what are the hallmarks of Lovecraftian stories?"
Okay.
And here's what AI gave
there
me:
you go.
6 things, and I think you'll see that Dredge has these things. First, it has cosmic horror, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has ancient beings, so these powerful, incomprehensible entities that are beyond human understanding. You see that happen in the Leviathan, these sea creatures you come across, especially the really powerful ones that can destroy your boat. It has forbidden knowledge.
Right.
So characters, it says, often encounter knowledge that drives them to madness. You definitely see that in the story. Atmospheric settings, eerie, unsettling, of course. Isolation, there's physical or psychological isolation. There's some of that happening because you see the fisherman in the end is experiencing that after the loss of his loved one, and he's trying to get her back. And then finally, the ambiguous endings, some questions unanswered, mystery, dread. I think the game tries to answer some of that in the end, but I feel like that's exactly what Dredge is. All of those things listed right there, it has all of those aspects. I don't think as I was playing the game, I was so focused on, okay, I'm getting the fishing, get the next upgrade, what's going on. But eventually, as you were saying earlier, once I had enough money, then I was like, okay, I've been to all the areas. Okay, what's the story? Let's wrap this up. Like, I'm not a completionist, so I wanted to know what was happening.
Yep.
And that's where then I had to start kind of figuring out, okay, who do I talk to next, and whatnot. But I definitely think it has this Lovecraftian part, cosmic horror, down pretty well. I did not see the twist coming at the end that the fisherman is the collector. Like,
right,
you're one and the same. That surprised me.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think my first playthrough, I want one playthrough. I may have watched YouTube for the other ending. Is I chose to. What did I chose to do? I think I chose to throw the book back. That's what I was going to do.
Okay.
And I think that's what reveals that you are the collector, the same one and the same. And I had talked to the old mayor. I had talked to the lighthouse keeper. Everybody telling me, throw this thing back, throw this back. I was like, okay, I probably should do this. Then it made more sense to me. But
yeah.
Were you tracking, Josh, as you were playing, kind of what was happening and what the stakes were?
No.
Okay.
No, I wasn't. I was lost because you get this story. I mean, his backstory you get in the bottles, that just kind of show up as you're out there. And I was not tracking with all of the details outside of just that, oh, there was this happy marriage, and then it wasn't quite so happy. I did not get at all what exactly happened. until after the game ended, and I took a look into it later, and I'm like, oh, okay. And even then, I have some mixed feelings about it. Overall, like you said, I think this does Lovecraftian horror really well, but in the ways that Lovecraftian stories, his stories are a bit unsatisfying. I think the narrative of this game is as well.
Sure.
And so I think it's intentional. Well, I guess one of the first spoilers, actually, at least for me, was when you start off the game and it's late at night and what is it, like there's a rock that just juts out of the water that you knew wasn't there. And the mayor is talking about how sometimes the old fisherman he started going crazy and he wasn't working, and be careful out there, don't go crazy, basically. And then you start going crazy at nighttime. My question is, okay, how much of this is real and how much of this is just in your head? And that question was always in the back of my mind throughout the entire game until the very end. So that spoiler, it's all real. Like it's not just you going crazy. And even insofar as it may be you going crazy, there's real effects. So your boat actually takes damage when it hits those rocks, So the game's not shy about that. It was just always a question in the back of my head until the end of the game. And it's like, okay, yes, no, it was all real. You could actually destroy all of this because of the decisions that you make. Yeah, so that's kind of, to me, that was the biggest spoiler. But then the other spoilers would be, what the story is and what exactly is going on. And it's still a little bit muddy in my head. I don't have it all straightened out. But again, that I think some of that is intentional. So my understanding of the story is that before this game happened, the fisherman, marries his sweetheart. They go out, and apparently he does some sort of a ritual to rename his boat after his wife, and he's nervous that he messed up the ritual. And then after that, he goes dredging in the deep with his wife, whom he said his wife wasn't supposed to be with him. Like, he had warned her that it's not a place for women, basically, to be dredging up stuff from the deep. Anyways, my understanding, again, is that they pull this chest from deep underwater, and when they open it, she dies, basically. And so the whole rest of the game, and the book is in there, and so it's got some secret knowledge. I don't know how or why she died. I don't know if it was her receiving this secret knowledge or what. All that to me is muddy. But then this game becomes, your psyche's kind of split between the fisherman and the collector needs to get these items so that because he has the secret knowledge. If you collect these items, then you can summon the power of the old ones to resurrect your dead wife. That's the basic idea. And so you meet this collector on this island. Well, it's really just you the whole time. It just you kind of split your psyche intentionally so that you can resurrect your dead wife, even if the fisherman side doesn't know what's going on. So all that makes sense, even though I'm muddy on the details. The unsatisfying thing to me is that inciting moment of when they dug up this box or whatever, and his wife died when they opened it up. It's unsatisfying to me because they just stumbled upon something in the water. Like, it would have been more satisfying if, someone had warned them, don't go out to this area. You know, like if there was a choice, it feels as though they just stumbled upon something that doomed them and therefore has a possibility to doom all of humanity. And so to me, narratively, like that doesn't, like there's no warning for me there. It just means, oh, sometimes you just screw up your life when you're trying to do your job. You know, sorry. The thing is, that is actually Lovecraftian because and this is why I actually like cosmic horror so much. Lovecraft was a nihilist, and he wrote these stories of these elder gods, you know, that humanity has forgotten about, who are so great and powerful that if you were to even look upon them, that you would go mad because you would realize the utter meaninglessness of your existence in the face of these great, powerful beings, because they exist on a completely different plane that you can't even understand, and you're such a small speck of dust compared to them. That is the underlying premise behind a lot of Lovecraft stories. Which is absolutely terrifying. Horrifying. And when people stumble upon these old gods, yes, they go crazy. But they that's the knowledge, is that everything that they could ever possibly do in their life is completely meaningless, and that these old gods don't care at all. Like they think of humanity as dust particles in the air. You know, you can glance at it for a second when the sun is at the, you know, is just going down, you know, golden hour. You can see a little dust particle floating by. Don't give a whit about humanity whatsoever. And so it is this horrible, terrifying picture of the universe and the creators of the things that we know. The reason I like those stories, one, it's absolutely terrifying, but two, it shows you a possible idea of a deity that is absolutely unlike the one true God of the Bible, absolutely unlike Yahweh, because Yahweh is slow to anger. He is abounding in steadfast love for his people. And sometimes I take that for granted. I mean, oftentimes I take that for granted, that the God of the universe, who's created all things, actually cares about me. He cares about humanity, whom he has put his image upon. He has given us, you know, he's imbued us with purpose. And so to see the flip side of that, the opposite of that, and realize how terrifying and horrifying that could possibly be, gives me more of a it makes me stand in awe of the way that God actually is. That he's actually good, when there's a possibility, in the sense of the, you know, theoretical, to see the opposite of that. It just magnifies how wonderful our God truly is. So anyways, that's why I love Lovecraftian stories in general. That's a little bit of a tangent, but just because it uses that kind of Lovecraftian backdrop for this story is something I appreciate.
It's one of those things
but
with the story, like, I appreciate you laying out the Lovecraftian part, is the story definitely had Lovecraftian themes in it, but I think the underlying story it's trying to tell is one of kind of, what do we do with the past? What do we do with those things that we have lost? And I don't think that it's just saying we're hopeless and that we should just kind of give ourselves over to these massive beasts that we cannot control and are beyond our understanding. We're just going to go insane. Because rather, the items that you're trying to collect are your wedding ring, right? You're trying to collect these things that were gifts to your wife, that have meaning and purpose. You're trying to find yourself again in the midst of your grief, and your brokenness, and the insanity caused by encountering this, you know, otherworldly power. But in the end, you have a choice. Do you try to bring back your wife, and by so doing actually destroy the world? Or do you let the past be the past and kind of like die to yourself, kind of let that
Mhm.
go, listen to
Mhm.
wisdom, and actually save the world. So it's interesting because it's like at the same time it uses Lovecraftian stuff. I also feel like it's trying to say that there is some meaning and purpose in our life and the losses that we experience. Because it's a very personal loss that he's experienced. And he has to
Mhm.
make a very hard choice at the end about what am I going to do? Like, do I want my wife or do I want to help save this town in this area?
Mm.
Um, I don't think that was always clear to me at the end. I just kind of had that foreboding sense that I shouldn't kind of continue to play around with this book. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be good. Like people are kind of wigging out about this.
Mhm.
But as I kind of watched some videos, I was like, okay, there's more here about like just the relationship. Like because I agree with you earlier. You were saying like it kind of like just they kind of happened upon it. But I
Mhm.
also picked up in the journal entries, which I didn't always read terribly carefully. I guess I wanted to get back to fishing.
Right.
Was that something was off in their relationship? That work had
Okay.
interrupted the intimacy of their relationship, and
Okay.
that they weren't always
Yeah,
on the
that's
greatest
true.
of terms. Like they went through a honeymoon period, and
That's
then
a good point.
things that kind of driven them apart, and then this thing happened, and it almost feels like the character is grieving not just the loss of his wife, but kind of almost like the wasted time, like the things that he should have done. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's the sense that I got, like trying to make up for it
Yeah.
in the end. And it's like, well, is it willing to risk like everything to get his wife back, or not?
Yeah.
It's too late. So I don't know. It's just kind of story beats that I picked up on as I went through it.
Yeah, well, I like that a lot more.
Yeah.
I didn't quite see that, but you're right because there were times, yeah, when he would, at least according to the journal entries of his wife, he'd be out all the
Mhm,
time, and life wasn't what she expected it to be. That's
mhm,
true. And if you look at that metaphorically, then that makes a lot more sense about, yeah, just the overarching story. So then, the fact that you bring in these Lovecraftian elements of opening a box and someone dying, yeah, that can be more of a metaphor
mhm.
of life taking someone away, of, maybe she died tragically,
Yeah.
or yeah, and then what do you do with that? Yeah, that's a really good point
Well,
that I didn't see.
yeah, I think it's trying to tell a very human story
Yeah.
using all of this Lovecraftian theming,
Mhm.
and I think it is one that's like grief and
Right.
loss and pain in the past that we cannot undo. But what if you had a chance to undo it? What if
Right.
you could? What if you could bring that person back that you loved and have a second chance at life with them? Would you do it? And in
Mhm.
this story, it's like if you do that, it might cause chaos and destruction because you don't know the powers that you're playing with when you do that.
Yeah.
Um, and so like I like that. I like that it was definitely ambiguous. I could have fleshed it out more, but at the same time it was like, well, what do I do with this choice? And it
Yeah.
kind of it kind of reminded me like
That's
sometimes
cool.
the end of like Supergiant games where they give you a choice. Like, what are you going to do?
Mhm.
You've worked this whole point to this point. Now you have the choice. What are you going to do? You have to live with,
Yeah.
live with the consequences.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a good point. What are you willing to give up to try and hold on to the past?
right.
Or someone else. What are you willing to give up for someone else? Are you willing to destroy the entire world for someone else,
Hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. And it almost
Okay.
seemed like too in the end, like when you make that choice, at least the choice that I made at first, which was to throw the book back,
Mhm.
um, and the Leviathan just devours you.
Right.
It almost seems like, and I don't know, maybe I'm reading this into it because of my Christian background, but like
Mhm.
almost like, and I don't know if I agree with this either. Like almost like an atonement has happened. Like
Mhm.
you've thrown the book back. Maybe these Lovecraftian beasts are upset that you've not allowed them to be unleashed, so they're just going to destroy you. Maybe that's part of it. But also like you've done some wrong here. I see that's the thing. I'm not sure. Like, did he want to find this? Did he do that ritual like selfishly? I don't know.
Mhm.
Of renaming his boat, like I don't know. But I felt like something was going on there where he gets swapped. Not just that he throws it back, but he gets destroyed in the process. But then
Right.
that's what brings kind of peace, right?
Mhm.
The sacrifice of this person. I don't know. So something else there.
Yeah.
Nate is
Yeah.
back.
I'm back. I'm back. I had to put a fussy child back to bed. So it sounds like I missed all sorts of good stuff here. So you
Just
guys,
spoiler section stuff, you know?
so tell me about the you probably already talked about it, but I did want to know about the person with scales.
Yes, it's the fanatic. I can pull up
Ah,
the
okay. Towards the last area there.
right. He's the one who burns himself in the fire when the trinket is
Yeah.
left. Yeah.
I think these are
Oh
the
yeah.
this is the group of people that they want to bring these gods back, right?
Right.
These old ones back, and so they're
Mhm.
trying to do all these rituals to bring it back. So yeah,
Becoming more like them and going crazy in the process. Yeah,
right.
for sure. Yeah, we were talking about the end of the game. Well, the overall kind of narrative of the game, where I was saying that I found it unsatisfying in the way that Lovecraft is unsatisfying,
Mm-hmm.
in that it felt to me as though the main character and his wife just kind of stumbled upon this box, and then his wife died in the process. So it wasn't that he made a certain choice that was a wrong choice and his wife died because of it. It was just like, oh, sometimes crap happens. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
that part was unsatisfying to me. I get that, hey, you have a choice in how you want to change because of that, what you want to do because of that. But like, oh, the inciting incident wasn't your fault. Like if someone had warned him, this isn't a good area to be searching for stuff, or, something could happen, it would have been more satisfying.
I
That was
mean,
my take.
it I think there's and again, I don't know what ground you guys have covered since I've been gone, but I would say like there's a lot of stuff that they just leave open. So the
Mhm,
reality might be somebody, it's like that he was looking for this, and because he knew that there was some like artifact of great power kind of deal.
mhm,
And maybe, but none of that gets spelled out, or
mhm,
it's just kind of like it kind of drops you like a little bit in media res, and
mhm.
you don't know all of the circumstances leading up to the accident or whatever. So it is kind of like, I just think that's part of the storytelling is just not really that good. I mean, like it's just like it's it's just video game storytelling as a general rule. It's usually a weakness, and I just think like
Sure.
there's parts where like, not to armchair quarterback it too much, but even with that, it's just kind of like, I don't think and honestly, I don't know if this game is really about like the story as much as it is. It's supposed to. I think it's just the vibes. It's supposed to just kind of catch the vibes and put, like I think it does that really well. But like, yeah, the story
I agree.
is pretty dissatisfying. Even like, did you guys talk about how like the collector and the fisherman, yeah, essentially the same
Yes, or
guy.
one of the same. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and it was kind of like one of those things where it was like you did hit this point where it was like, especially after some of those conversations, I was like, oh, I kind of saw it coming. It wasn't like a complete shock or surprise to me.
Okay.
So,
So it was a surprise for me, but I was watching a video today, and I should have seen it coming. They were pointing out like at the very, very, very first scene of the game. If you go back and look at that opening shot of the old fisherman in the boat driving his boat, the book is sitting right there, and his glasses are sitting on top of it. From the very
mm,
first scene,
Oh, wow.
you know who he is if you know what you're looking for.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, it's right there. But I didn't have the eyes to see yet what was going on. And then the game
Sure.
slowly kind of unveils that to me. And it was, for me, it was kind of surprising. Like, wait a minute, I am this guy. But then I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So,
Yeah, it just like I think, and I can't point to anything explicit in the game, but it did just sort of feel like people, it's even the way it was sort of written, like the characters sort of, there's a familiarity. Like
Okay.
that after a while, like even with the lighthouse keeper, like it just like some of the scripting, I just remember seeing like it's kind of one of those things. I can't remember what character, and maybe it was in talking to the old mayor or something like that. But it was like, oh, hey, this isn't like the first rodeo. Like, kind of been like going around here for a minute, and yeah. So it's like when you get to that point where it's like the big reveal is like, you know, you're confronting the collector. It's like, okay, y- I mean, I'm not gonna be like, it's not like, oh, I totally saw it coming, but I was like, it wasn't like this huge shocker. I was like, no, that checks out. Like this kind of this fits,
Right.
um, because it just like, oh yeah, like, and like I said, I did kind of wonder if it was like maybe one and the same. Like there was like
Mhm.
there were just like some clues where it was like, you know, and I think just even the fact that like you never that even when you were dealing with a collector, it just like he just sort of shows up at the periphery, and it's like, and then when you ask people about the guy who lives over them, they get kind of squirrely and weird. Like
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, there was just something that felt like it kind of. I just felt like it was dropping. And again, I can't point to anything explicit. I just remember when I got to that part, I was like, oh no, that checks out. Like, okay, cool. Like it wasn't like this like crazy revelation or anything. But you know, I don't know. I'm kind of a
Yeah.
snob, and I consume way too much media as is. So
Mhm.
it's probably.
It's interesting, even how you're saying it's kind of like a vibes game, because now it sounds like we all have at least slightly different views on the overall narrative. Josh explained, and I really appreciated it, how he felt like there were some, because of some of the bottles, the message in the bottles that you, the diaries that you had of your
Mhm.
wife. Give the impression that things between them were not hunky dory when they dredged for that box, that like
Mhm.
life hadn't turned out the way that they had expected. And if I do recall correctly, she was talking about how he would spend tons of time out on the ocean and didn't want her coming with him. And I didn't view that. I had forgotten that. So at least Josh, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but overall, your take is that it was more a story about losing someone, and what do you do in your grief? Do you give up everything to try and get them back? Like, even, you know, willing to doom all of humanity in this case, it's a metaphor. Um, or are you willing to accept the fact that they're gone? And that's kind of that final decision. So I do like that viewed metaphorically. But then also what you're talking about brings up an interesting point to me, of just that the vibe of maybe the book is this ancient force that is pushing to resurrect Cthulhu, basically, because that's kind of what you can end up doing. And so maybe that's the vibe behind that, is it doesn't care, it just wants to latch on, and so it killed your wife just so that you would collect these things and sacrifice to this elder god so that it would be resurrected, or maybe it's all of the above and it's just about vibes, and whatever you want to kind of latch on to. I don't know. I
Well,
don't know.
I think even there you can sort of talk about like just the weakness in deploying the story, because like there is a story there. It's
Mhm.
just they kind of, and I think this is something that we see pretty commonly in like the Souls games, right? Where it's like the like to really understand what's going on, like you have to dig through all the minutia.
Mhm.
And I do think like especially in a game like this, if you want that story to this is kind of like this actually kind of stands in contrast to what I was saying about like just how like the one of the beauties is that there's a subtleness to the systems that's really like excellently like all the systems are really just like they're keyed up and they're tuned up just perfectly, and there's a subtlety there, and there's like it's really kind of understated. Whereas like if you want the story in this game to be sort of more than just sort of like thematically kind of like there, you do need to draw a little bit more attention to it. And I don't think the game does a great job of that, because a lot of it, gracious Josh, is the fact like, yeah, it's the bottles and the like the little like the notes and all that. It's like it's all that stuff, but like you have to find all of that, and then you kind of have to piece all that together. And like you said, one of the kind of like the beauties of this game is that you don't have to do any of that. And so I do think it's sort of, it just like it's there, but I think it's more set dressing than anything, which kind of just, again, pulls me back into like, it's more about just the vibes of the game. Like they're kind of like, they have a tone, there is a story, and maybe there's a point, right? But because they never really execute on that, like, it is kind of like, it's a story about obsession. It's a story about like the dangers of like, will you damn the world, for, in order to reclaim what was lost, or attempt to reclaim what was lost. Because even like when she comes back to life, right, there's kind of like, like in the bad ending, when you bring her back to life, if I remember something, there's kind of like some like, it just like, even that kind of like throws off like, I don't know. It's like, like a lot of times in these kind of environments, when things come back, it's like not the same.
Right.
Well, because
It
yeah,
makes me think of,
isn't Greater Marrow like leveled? Like it's completely destroyed.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it
well,
wreaks havoc.
even though she's back, it's probably not really her to some extent. Like, because that's usually the catch. Like, yeah, she comes back, but there's something. It's not really, yeah, and
Right.
and it's so, yeah, there is this kind of like, yeah, like almost like if you can't let go, if like you do need to sort of drag this thing kicking and screaming back, it's like it's going to just sort of level everything, and it's going to destroy everything, and it's not even going to be the thing
going to
that
be an aberration.
yeah, it's going to be an aberration. Yeah, because even dude, the spot that you go to, it's like this glowing, now it's glowing with a different light, but it is a glowing spot in the middle of the ocean. Like, and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah. Because at that point, I mean, you are resurrecting Cthulhu. Like, you see him coming up as well, with her. So, yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, there's all, and it's also just sort of playing into like those cosmic horror tropes where it's like, if you sacrifice yourself and sort of seal away, like if you don't do the forbidden thing and you seal it away and you just sort of like close the loop, then it sort of, it restores like the natural order. And yeah,
right.
So
right, and that's what Josh was talking about when you first came back on, is that there's this self-sacrificial aspect to the good ending of the game, where you're eaten by Leviathan as well. But yeah, and I guess we didn't talk about that, but then all of the weird stuff that's been happening in the islands kind of gets washed away as well. So you do end up kind of saving the rest of humanity that you've come in contact with. What were you going to say, Josh?
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if the character himself realizes he's about to be swallowed by Leviathan,
right.
but
That's true.
It's what happens because it satisfies the powers at B or whatever to not come wreak havoc. It's almost like a ritual sacrifice. And so something has to die in this story.
A price has to be paid.
A price has to be paid to hold at bay the forces of evil. That's what it is.
Right.
And I think there's something there as Christians that we can say, okay, what do we do with that? How do we approach that? But yeah.
There is, and I think that's why it was unsatisfying for me, is because it wasn't a choice that brought about the evil necessarily, like there was no, in the Garden of Eden, God said, don't eat from the tree.
Right.
So then
here it's happenstance. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
The dude
Which
just finds
fits
the
with
box.
Lovecraft. Right. it fits with Lovecraft because, hey, you just stumbled on an elder god who doesn't care about you at all. So, sorry, sucks to be
at
you.
best is completely ambivalent and apathetic towards you. At
Right.
worst is like zeroes in on you in a very unpleasant way.
Mhm.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
even sort of
That's
kind of
interesting. Yeah.
one of the things, and again, this is sort of like going back to one of the things though, is just like, it's sort of just, that is a kind of a theme though, is sort of like that the alien and sort of like even sort of like the uncanny valley type stuff, where I think like this game sort of like leans into that a little bit. And again, even like with the fish, like the aberration fish, right? Like it's like, oh, this is like really gross, but everything is just like a little bit off. And I think
Mhm.
that kind of like, again, sort of that goes back to that theme, and that just really like plays into that. And then, the post-credit scene where it's like, if you sort of say like I'm gonna resurrect poor Lenore, and sort of the world can burn, it's, yeah, and that's what happens. Like the world burns, but then when there is this sort of, and I think what's kind of unsatisfying about that, I guess, is that yes, there's this sacrifice, but there's kind of a question hanging, right? Whereas like, okay, so like, and this is just the Lovecraftian thing. So like they stumble upon the cosmic box, they unlock the ancient horror, right? And then like he knowingly or unknowingly sacrifices himself to sort of seal, like he throws the book back into the ocean to sort of set things right. The Leviathan eats him, and all it does is it just resets it. It's like until
Right.
the next sucker comes along, and it's like, so everything is like good for now, but there's no
Mhm.
permanence to that. Like
Yeah.
versus, the ultimate, the sacrifice that sort of just seals it away and sort of, puts his,
Destroys Leviathan, right?
yeah, puts his
Yeah.
foot on Leviathan's neck. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
in the end of this story, there is no shalom. Even if you pick the good ending,
Mm.
things are not the way that they ought to be. There's a wholeness, an integrity of things. It's like you're saying, Nate. It's just until the next guy happens upon dredging deep in the ocean and finds a
Mm.
box he shouldn't open, and he does, and then
Yeah.
out pops another problem, huge problem. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
which I guess fits into the Lovecraftian narrative,
Yeah.
but that also reflects, like you were explaining so well earlier, Josh, Nate, when you were off, just kind of the nihilistic approach
Mhm.
to narrative when it comes from that perspective. So
Mhm.
there's no ultimate hope. It's just trying, can you escape long enough?
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Can you sort of like fend it off long enough? I mean, like, you know what game it is kind of reminds me of, Josh, is and it's the Outer Wilds game.
Outer
And
Wilds.
how like
Mhm.
when we get to the end of that game, it's like the whole time you're like, can I escape this? Can I prevent this or whatever? And it's like, no. And it's just like, ultimately, I don't, that stuff is just like, it's just completely unsatisfying. And again, I think this is just sort of like, this is kind of symptomatic of video games in general, is that a lot of the times, because these narratives are being written from these sort of perspectives, we're just not going to get satisfying conclusions, because it's like, well, it doesn't really matter anyway. So just like, kind of like they throw up their hands and say, it's the near automata, um, you know,
Mhm.
thing, where it's like, it doesn't really matter, but we're going to go screaming into the night, sort of like, shouting our defiance at what? Like,
Mhm.
because it
Mhm.
doesn't matter.
Right.
But I mean, all that being said, I did love this game. I think it's just like, and it comes back to like, there is something. It is the feeling of like, it's like very cozy. It's fun. It's really sort of like, it's got some great systems, but then it just kind of, it's a little unsettling now. And unfortunately though, like the charm does wear off after a while, because it's like after a while it's just like, like I was sort of saying at the beginning of the show, it's like just, that like going from like Greater Marrow to Little Marrow or whatever, and it's like, oh, this feels bad. And then at the end of the game, I'm like, dude, I don't know, like full disclosure, did you guys ever just like try to sail outside the boundary of the map?
I didn't see that until I was watching YouTube, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never got up the courage to try.
Yeah, I just was like, one time I was like, I'm gonna see what happens, and I just like went north until like the game was like,
You
nope,
found out.
until I found out what happens. And it's like you get this
You
warning.
messed
It's like
around and you found out.
I messed around and I found out. It's like you're in uncharted waters, and I'm like, who cares? And I just kept going and going, and then all of a sudden I see like these giant, like not just one, but it's like 5 of them, and I dodged a couple of them. I was like, I'm gonna just
oh wow,
and yeah,
okay.
That is one piece to this game I hadn't tried that, Nate, but where it's, I guess it's part of the storytelling. Yeah, it's part of the storytelling where it's allowing you to kind of push against the boundaries of the world to see what happens. Like I had heard someone talk about how, you pick up passengers in this game and you transport them to another island. You can actually discard them at sea. And there will be a story beat that pops up and says, this person drowned and this is, whatever. Like the game allows you to do that. You can do that. But like there's I guess a consequence or a little story beat that comes up with that. So like I think that's just clever. I think it's interesting that they allow you to do that.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it kind of, it's and it is sort of like there's a wholeness there where yes, it's more functional than anything else, right? So it's like hey, this is the game zone. This is where you can play. And instead of sort of doing the thing like, because I think you could have just as easily just sort of done like the old school like JRPG thing, where it's like, I'm gonna like go as east as far as I can, and then whoops, I'm just gonna pop up in the west. And I think that would have even fit thematically as well. Like you're kind of like locked into this zone. But even just sort of saying like, oh no, like what's gonna happen is you're gonna go out and you're gonna get eaten by some sea monsters. And that's kind of you know what though, there was something in the notes, and I did want to sort of, and I don't know if you guys had talked about it, but where Josh, you had written, it's not nothing after, it's not all in your head. And I'm like,
Yeah.
actually it kind of is though, because one of the things I started doing is I started pushing against the game. So it's like at night when you get like now there are like sea creatures that will chase you sometimes and that will be provoked. But like, all the eyes come out and it like really weirds you out and everything. You're like, oh, I need to get to like, I started being like, I don't care. And what you find, like, if you just keep going, it doesn't do a stinking thing. Like
really?
Nothing happens.
Sometimes. I would say sometimes.
I would say most of the time.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that nothing happens all the time. Because, yeah, like sometimes like a giant weird fish thing or the giant ghost shark will come after you. Because there is like a giant great white shark that will just like show up sometimes and charge you. And then I watched him basically swim into the base of an island. So I'm like, he is a ghost shark.
Okay.
My head, like in my head, I don't know if he's actually functionally. Maybe they just sort of but yeah, most of the time nothing happens. So it's like, I'd say like 75% of the time, 80% of the time, it is just in your head. Like,
okay. Yeah, that's interesting because the reason I said that it's not is because from the start of the game, I'm wondering how much of this is real and how much isn't. And then by the end of the game, yes, Lovecraft, like there are these ancient beings, like these sea monsters, like yes, aberrations are real, like this is not just fake. I get what you're saying that some of the elements don't immediately affect you, but I mean like the rocks that jut out of the water at night that aren't actually there actually hurt your ship, so that's why I said it's not all in your head. Like there's physical ramifications for these things. The fanatic burns himself. You are the old fisherman that used to be there. Like all these things are like actually happened. It's not just like and I woke up from a dream kind of a thing.
No.
Like,
but it also, I do think like especially in the night cycles, like it's an interesting thing that yes, occasionally there are like real ramifications. Like, and even out on the sea, like sometimes like giant tentacles will pop up in the middle of the ocean and swat at you. So like, yes, there is like kind of high strange out there. But I do think it's like it's sort of an interesting position because like I said, like at night you're out there long enough and like the eyeballs will start like floating
right.
around and crowding.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, and even like when you get like the weird like things that sort of like come and like
The
like
red
the weird
wisps
that hover around your ship and stuff. Like one time I stood there and I just kind of like just pushed the boat around just barely and nothing happened. It just went away after a while.
Huh. Okay.
So it's like there is a part where it's like
there is a bit that's still just in your head.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. I mean, of course there's going to be at least a little bit of that for any isolating situation, right? So I don't think.
And it's that I think that's it's sort of it's an interesting reflection in that. So, but yeah,
that goes to your theory of it being vibes.
It's just
like
it's
interesting.
It's just there, like and like I said, I don't know. But all that being said, like I love this game. I think it's like so cool. It's kind of like one of those games where I think once you get through it, though, it does kind of like some of the shine wears off, like the charm wears off. Like it's still fun, but it's like it's kind of like once you've seen the trick, it's just not nearly as impressive. It's still like cool, but yeah. I mean I love this game. I think it's like super neat, but
yeah, it almost seems like it's a game, and I don't remember what the documentary said, but it almost seems like it's a game where they wanted to do something with fishing and something like with cosmic horror. They wanted to mix those two. So they started with mechanics and kind of built from there, and the story kind of got added later. I don't know. I don't want to be unfair to them.
Makes sense.
Because the mechanics are so tight. It's so fun to play. The progression is very nice. It doesn't overstay its welcome. But like you said, Nate, the story is not as robust as it could be or satisfying in the end.
Yeah,
I agree with you on that point. So
it's got bones. Like it could be I think you could keep the same general structure, but if there's a way, like if you make the player a more active participant and you sort of now you would have to lean a little bit more into like expositional dumps, or at least like a little bit more conversation. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like one of those things where it's just like it's easy for me to armchair quarterback that, right? But it's like at the same time, like it's not bad, but it's like the story isn't like really the reason. The story isn't the thing that carries you along. It's like it's just like there is that kind of like, I mean, at least for me, because when I got to the end of the game, the way that it went down is like I was like, okay, I've done just about everything. Like I have all the upgrades. Okay, let's see how this thing ends. You know what I'm saying? Where it was like versus like I have to, because I do think for a minute, like I would say for the first half of my gameplay experience, I was like, what is like there's like what is going on? What is going on? What is going on? Like there was but then it's just like it does like sort of turn the corner where the story no longer becomes the impetus, where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like you've seen enough of the mysteries, like some of the weird has sort of like kind of lost some of its weird, and you're just like, okay, like because there's like completely unexplored beats, like the northeastern island, like there's this whole like civilization thing that they talk about, and there was this giant creature that lived in the sea, and they never really do anything with that. They never explain it. They never sort of like it just sort of, there was a civilization that existed here. It had some sort of a relationship with this thing that lived in the sea, and something happened, and now most of that city, the island, is underwater now. Like, but it never, do you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, it never,
Did the game ever explain the rocks that you with the symbols that you could touch that sometimes
no,
come
they
alive
just
and
give
attack you?
you like, they just give you
I
like
hadn't
these
thought about that
swordward
until
of like
now.
dumps too. Like, and it's, I'm sure that that's all part of like if you run all of that stuff down, it probably builds out the world for you a lot. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying is like, you could like, I think even making those things part of like the gameplay loop, like hunting them down, like so
Yeah.
that
There are
you're
ways to do
actually
that,
like,
sure.
you need to get that stuff in there so that you kind of know what's going, like, to progress the storyline. But it's like, it doesn't do any of that. It doesn't encourage you. And even sort of like the story of the fisherman and his wife, again, it's sort of like all of that stuff is sort of like tucked away. It's completely opt-in. And because of that, like narratively, it's fine. It's like, it's interesting, but it's also not nearly as potent as it could be. So,
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Well, I think it's interesting too that we all came to the table with different perspectives on the story, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, I'm not sure what to think about that in particular because it seems to lean more towards like maybe it is just really vibey and I'm not the thing that I'm wrestling with is authorial intent, okay? Whether or not these are whose perspective is more in line with what the developers were actually thinking and how much of it is us reading between the lines. That's what I'm wrestling with right now, and I don't know the answer, and that's fine. We don't need the answer. But I think we have actually plumbed a lot of the depths of this game, especially in this spoiler section. So before we cast off for the evening, we probably should do our too long didn't listen, right?
yeah, too long didn't listen. So, sort of kicking off some of the questions, we already talked about this a little bit, but who made it? Black Salt Games. This is their sort of entry level
Debut.
This is their debut game. Small
Mhm.
team, 4 people, out of New Zealand. Sort of the second question here, and this is, I guess, sort of where you guys should probably chime in. But in your opinion, who should play this game? Like, is there an audience, like an age restriction or a maturity thing? Like, personally, I think thematically, this is probably appropriate for like, I'm gonna say like teenagers,
Yeah,
maybe
Teen or above,
at
yeah.
the earliest. Um,
I agree. And it kind of bleeds over into the worldview question that we usually have for these too long didn't listen is because it is a horror game, teenagers and above. So if you can think, I say think deeply about horror, if that makes sense, like, because it's not like just on its face, oh, it's a gory slasher game. No, it's not that kind of horror. It actually has the trappings that have these what we've talked about today, kind of philosophical nihilistic bent to it. And so if you can engage with that well, which I would say also kind of teenager and above.
I mean, I think it's a suspenseful, cozy game, is what it is.
Yes.
I mean, the core of it is a cozy game. To just, vibe out, doing some fishing, exploring this world. But then layered on top of that or through that is the kind of a suspenseful undertones of what's happening, what's happened to this world, who's my character, how does this get fixed, you know. But yeah, that's what it is. If you like cozy game kind of stuff, you're probably gonna like this game because it has a twist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
that
do.
answers the question of what is it? But what were you saying,
What
Nate?
is it? I was gonna say, basically teeing that up, too. It's the only
Perfect.
caveat is that like it's cozy until it's not.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
And then you're done with it. It doesn't try to It doesn't try to keep you, reeled in for any longer than it needs.
You're stretching here,
So,
pal.
what should you keep in mind while playing the game?
I think sort of the thing that I would sort of just is that the excellence is in the loop, and that it's just a really well crafted game, but ultimately like it's going to just that it's kind of narratively shallow. I think like it when you're playing it, I guess I would just say like it's a vibes game, and I think too for some people it's just like there's some people that you should probably steer away from just horror in general. I
Mm-hmm.
think for people who have a tendency to maybe like get sucked into like negative loops on that stuff, like negative headspaces on that stuff, like this might not be a game for you. Again, that's sort of
Mm-hmm.
like kind of like going back to who should play it, but it's like because of what it is and what to keep in mind is that like it is a little macabre. Like it's a little
Mm-hmm.
sort of grotesque. And if you can't sort of like parse that, and if you can't stomach that, then it's probably not for you. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, because it is a cozy game. Again, up until the point where it's not. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Something to keep in mind: passive income, baby. Um, get those crab pots down. Get your
oh,
trawler nets down. Like, just
dude,
get the passive income going.
Hmm.
It just makes the game a little easier, faster to finish. So I
dude,
really like that they added those kind of elements where it's like, okay, I've done the fishing. Just let me get these things going.
crab
That was
pots are
nice.
killer, man. Crab
They're
pots are
great.
killer.
They
That's
were
how
some
I
of the
made all my
freakiest looking
bank.
things, though. The aberrations.
Well, dude, anything that comes out of the
Craberations.
ocean, the craberations. You're a craberation.
It's true. It's true. I am. Along the same lines of what you said, Nate, is what should you remember when playing this game is due to the nature of the narrative, not all of the pieces have to fit together, so don't stress over that.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoy your time with it. Enjoy
Mm-hmm.
your time with the tone and the overall kind of darkness and spookiness of it. Enjoy your time fishing and upgrading your boat. Don't think too hard is
So
basically what I'm saying.
that kind of leads us into the next question, though, like sort of looking at the worldview of this game. I mean, ultimately, it's rooted in like cosmic horror, which is like that's Lovecraftian, which is kind of this. It's Josh. Yeah, and again, I wasn't here for that part of the conversation, but
Mhm.
it's very nihilistic. It's rooted in sort of like it's like a materialism or just even it reminds me of like what is it I'm gonna say Hitchens. It was one of the
Okay.
atheists talks, one of the four horsemen of the atheist movement or whatever. It was like
Christopher
Mhm.
Hitchens.
basically was it Hitchens though? But it was that or Dawkins or uh not Dawkins. Daggone it. I can
I don't
see
know.
his
Sam
stupid
Harris? Who's the other one?
maybe Sam Harris. I don't know. But it was one of them. It was one of the dudes who wrote books and he basically said, "Yeah, the universe is just a cold, big, cold, empty space." And that's really kind of scary and it doesn't care about you. And it's like that's at the heart of this. And so it like it is one of those things where it's like in that sense it's not going to have a lot to say to you that's like super uplifting because even like the endings it's like it doesn't really matter. It's like Cthulhu's coming. It's either you're gonna bring him or the next guy is. Like, you know, um,
I think, I mean, I agree with that, but I also don't like if they had a post-credit scene where they showed another fisherman coming in and it was like, oh no, the same story is going to repeat, then I would agree with that. But in the end, if you choose the good ending and throw the book back and get swallowed by Leviathan, it does show, greater Mero at peace. Things
yeah,
Mhm.
are the way they're supposed to be. So in that sense, I don't know if they are authorial intent is be like, this is going to be repeated. I mean, maybe they would do that.
Yeah,
I haven't played
that is
I haven't
just
played
me
the
reading
DLC.
into it.
Yeah,
That is just me reading into it. So yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I feel like they are trying to push you based on various characters, the old mayor, the lighthouse keeper, and other things. And even the fanatic is just so weird, or like it's trying to
Right.
push you to throw it back. Like it's very clearly trying to get you to do that. But you can
Yeah.
make your choice.
Mm-hmm.
But and that is the best choice to do to get the good ending. So in that sense, I do think it's trying to argue for not being selfish, trying to let the past go,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. But I don't know. They're still playing
Yeah,
around
I
with
don't.
cosmic horror, so.
Yeah, well, and I don't know that it has anything really sort of important. It's just like the setting. The setting does tend to be like a little bleak. Like as a general rule, it sort of leans into hopelessness, and that's kind of like the thing. I don't know. That's kind of like a bit of a hallmark of that genre in
Mhm.
general. Um, so I guess like this is a question, and it's not on our top 100, but like, why does a game like this matter? And I guess frankly, does it deserve a spot on our top 100, or at least thought about in the top 100? And what I'm gonna say is that I think I go back to the fact that like I think the thing that's really kind of impressive is that this is a game that sort of majors in the minors, in the sense that, again, like you look back, like the fishing mini games, like the cargo inventory stuff, like all of that stuff is like really, they really nail all that. And I think there are a lot of games that never get that stuff right at all. And so for them to sort of like hit all those notes, I think at least an important case study in that. And just being like, hey, like it's actually like if you get all these like small pieces and you sort of do them right, like some of the other stuff like sorts itself out. And so I think that's at the very least, like that's why it matters. I think it is cool. I don't think we get a lot of stuff. I think the other thing is you just don't get a lot of stuff in the cosmic horror space.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I think that was much more well thought out than what I was going to say. Is simply that it's just unique. That I've never played a spooky cozy game before, and I think it does that really well, basically. So I think that's why. But you're right. All these underlying elements that were done so well, come to the surface that may not be noticeable because of the nature of the different elements. It only kind of sticks out when it's bad or annoying. So yeah, I do like the game. I enjoyed the game quite a bit. For me personally, is it top 100 material? No, I don't think it breaks that barrier, but I would give it, I don't know, 8 out of 10, something like that. Like I think it's a good game that I really enjoyed, but I don't think it's necessarily special. I think it's along the same lines of something like Moonlighter, which I also really enjoyed. I do like the loop of those Zelda type games too, versus the fishing of this game, which is done really well. So I think it kind of sits in that tier in my mind, which is not quite cracking my personal top
I mean, it
100.
could be like it could maybe fall into the honorable mention category,
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
but I think that's the highest it's going to go. And I just think like because the gameplay loop is really solid, but
hmm
again, it's sort of like what does hold it back is that just narratively, it's kind of like it's like it's fine.
Yeah, I don't hold that against it because of the nature of Lovecraftian horror. I think it would be more annoying if it wasn't in that genre in particular.
Full disclosure, I don't hold it against it either. I'm just saying that's like it does sort of like I don't want to say limits the game, but it does sort of cap it out at like an 8. Where I think if you had like
Yeah.
a really compelling narrative in this game, like I think that could be something that was well executed. I think it's
Yeah.
something that could push it up to like 9 or 10 territory fairly
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we both agree that overall it is a net positive for sure.
Ugh.
Oh, no.
Josh, does it crack your personal top 100?
I don't actually have one. I want to create one.
Oh wow, it's an endeavor.
It is an endeavor. It's a lot of games. I would say maybe. I don't, I don't play spooky games. It's not something I enjoy. I've made that pretty clear on this podcast over the years. But this game drew me in, and I wanted to finish it, and that says something. That like you said,
Yeah.
Josh, it's unique, and I think it kind of pulls from different categories of people and draws you cozy people, Lovecraftian people, spooky people. Like it draws you in and lets you play in that space for a little bit. And it was short. It wasn't too long. So yeah, I would say 7.5 to 8 out of 10 would be for mine. So
Yeah,
maybe it would crack
Yeah.
the bottom of my top 100. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just to sort of answer the question where this game can be found, pretty
Everywhere.
much everywhere. I think it's on, if you can, like, I mean, short of being
Earlier
on
this year, it was released on mobile also. I saw that on the website, which I was really surprised to see. So yeah,
I was just going to say,
everywhere.
Short of being able to play it on your refrigerator, I think you can pretty much play it everywhere else. It's available on the Switch. It's available on PlayStation, Steam Deck, Windows, Xbox, Android, iOS, all of it. So,
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a fun little deep dive into a little game like this. I've enjoyed it. We have a few final forms before we head out for the evening, for the morning, for whenever you're listening to this. But I think we can get through this pretty quickly. First off is our shout outs. Josh, we always want to shout out when
guests.
someone takes the time to graciously be with us and plumb these depths. So thank you for being here. It is very gracious of you, Josh. And I've really also really appreciated just your contribution as well. And like I said, your perspective too. Yeah, it's really cool. So thank you for taking so much time as it has taken. So appreciate you. My other shout out I just realized was in our Brochacho channel. So I actually don't want to share what was shared there because that's kind of more of a private channel. So Josh, you get my shout out. I know it's a little bit of a cop out, but that's what I've got. Nate, who are you shouting out?
I'm going to shout out Spike, the fake Nate. And he gets a bit of a kudos because I think it's a bit of sort of like wish fulfillment for me because I have often sort of lamented the fact that I can't just like sort of reach through the internet and like slap people when they say stupid things. But also it was like leveraging AI in probably the best possible way. I mean, aside from the fact that like, so what he did is he took a screenshot of the Metal Gear Solid book club episode, and apparently like has him like just punching out Porcho. And I'm not advocating for violence against our Australian friend. But it was so cool. Now, full disclosure, it was also like just like it sort of did this thing where like Porcho's face just like apparently he got punched in the nose and he's a hemophiliac because it was just like there was AI blood everywhere. But it was pretty freaking epic, and I just thought it was like super funny. So,
oh wow, that is something else, man.
Yeah, I'm not advocating for violence. I just thought like like I'm deeply jealous of the idea of just being able to reach through the internet and like punching people out. But also, I just thought like, oh, I actually don't hate that AI slop. That was actually kind of cool.
Surprising. Yeah. Nice.
So.
Awesome. Spike. Josh, do you want to shout anyone out?
I don't know who the person was, but I had asked a question in the lounge about just any Christian YouTube channels people follow, and a couple guys piped in and shared a bunch of recommendations. But the one that really stood out to me that I've already subscribed to and really appreciate is Dane Ortland's channel.
Okay.
And I've already watched a couple videos from him, and they're really solid and really wise and helpful and winsome. I think that's the thing that I appreciate about him. So yeah, thanks for the recommendations, guys.
Cool. I just want clarification. Is that Dane or is that Gavin? Because I know Gavin does a lot of YouTube content.
I think it's Dane. It's Truth Unites.
Cool.
Truth Unites is the.
Okay. Then I think that's
channel.
Gavin.
Or is that Gavin? Okay, well,
yeah.
The Ortland family deserves a shout out.
Right. So. Yes. Yeah. Sorry. But no, I've been listening to some of his stuff recently because he's putting out some stuff on Protestantism in general, which I really appreciated. So, yeah, good stuff. Awesome. Okay, so shout outs are done. We have one final form, and that form comes in the form of a question. And that question is, what is your question? What is your question? Where we field questions from you guys. We dig those up out of the miry clay of questiondom. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But anyways, we come with a question, and my question, because I did not want to pick a question that literally made my stomach turn when I thought about it. So instead, this question comes from Quick Mark. He asks, they announce a game based off an IP that your kids are really into. What elevator pitch would actually get you excited about it? I might not have copied that correctly, but basically, he says mine is a Wildcrats game from the Hazelight Studios, a la It Takes Two in Split Fiction. That sounds really cool. The 2-player co-op kind of thing with Wildcrats. For a kids game, someone else had mentioned Bluey, and I have to go with Bluey, just in terms of an IP that all my kids enjoy that actually might be functional as a video game. So I think if the team, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, maybe it's .emu. I could be wrong about that.
I always say
Dotemu. But the team that made Shredder's Revenge, is that the same team?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Shredder's Revenge, and I think there's is it an X-Men game that's coming out or a Power Rangers? Anyways, to do a 4-player,
there's an X-Men game coming out. Yeah,
do a brawler in Bluey, but have it like stuffed animals and stuff like that. Like obviously dogs wouldn't be dog fights. That's not what I'm talking about. But, you're Bluey and you're Bingo and you're Bandit and you're going around and you're punching, like these stuffies come to life and maybe the little finger hand puppet things come around. And, it's all like imagination, but a beat 'em up, like that pixel art style with Bluey. I could totally get behind that. That's what I'd go with. Any ideas for you guys? Yeah.
I'd go with a turn-based tactics game for Paw Patrol.
That's good.
I can have my cast of characters. I got Rubble and the Double.
Yeah.
I got all the guys, Marshall, and they all have their abilities, right? And I can upgrade them. And then we go on these missions because Ryder always helps us to know where we can serve the city. And then we would go out and we'd have to overcome the cats and other problems using our abilities. And I think my 4-year-old would sit with me and watch me play that game.
Yeah, guys, we need to get hired. Like, I want to play these games. That's they could actually license games that don't suck. Like, yeah, dude, that's a great idea.
See, the problem is like Byron's like his probably like the chief IP is Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's like the big one.
So a fighting game.
Yeah, I'd actually
Mortal Kombat, a la Thomas the Train.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of cool. I don't know like how that would work per se. So I don't know, but like he also does like the Spidey and His Amazing Friends series.
Yeah.
So I just even think like if you have sort of like a really interesting sort of like 3D adventure game with that cast, that might be kind of fun. I don't know though. Like I don't know though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like I think the stumper for me is like how would Thomas because like you could do like maybe like a Thomas kart racer or something like that, but they're trains, and so it's like they have to be on tracks. And
did you see that horror game that came out that was like a Charlie
Choo Choo.
Charlie Choo Choo. Those, yeah, there we go.
Or Choo Choo Charlie, I think is it.
Choo-choo,
Yeah. I've seen it. That is a horrifying locomotive. It is an eldritch abomination. If I saw something like that coming at me, I would just like fall down and die. I'd be like, no, I'm done. Like,
so Thomas the Train Souls like. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I'm sure the thing is like it would probably be like a really cool like maybe like train sim kind of thing with Thomas, but like if I'm being honest, like that's not gonna do anything for me. So
yeah, and definitely not for the kids. Yeah,
because
I'm thinking these games have to be co-op,
dude. Like, and he has a game that like you can sort of like build on his iPad where you can build like tracks and stuff, and he does that, but it's mostly just to like watch them like crash. And he does not build good. Like my son, I love my son, and like he means the world to me. But like his track building skills leave a lot to be desired. That's all I'm saying. I mean, he is 3, but still, I expect better.
He needs to get good, right?
Yeah,
he needs to get good.
Well, I think that might be an issue with his dad. He hasn't trained him very well.
We are trying to not let him be. Super. We don't want him to be an iPad screen time baby all the time.
Yeah.
He's not trained him very well. That's very good.
Full steam ahead.
Josh, you guys are killing me. I'm glad this.
All right, what was your
done.
question?
So Quickmark actually asked 2 questions, and I debated about this. And I think it was a toss up between this or another one, but the other one's like a little like too hard. So I'm gonna go. Neither one of these is actually like I kind of did not go easy mode. So we'll just double up on Quick Mark. But he said, I've stolen this from the podcast Triple Click. But in an age of fewer and fewer exclusive games, how are Sony and my Xbox supposed to differentiate themselves enough to make a consumer pick one over the other? And he sort of goes on to write, it's like it kind of stumped the people over at Triple Click as well. And I don't think there are any easy answers. I think the quick answer is that I think I'm going to say this. I think there is a level to Sony exclusives, like a quality, a level of quality, and it's sort of like it's kind of actually put them in kind of a bad space too, because like now, like if their games don't hit that level, then it's kind of like the end of the world kind of thing. But like the reality is like I think the way that Sony differentiates itself from Microsoft is that by just really saying like kind of leaning into that high bar sort of thing. So it's like kind of vague and whatever, but like Nintendo has carved out its own niche sort of with like it's just like it's like Nintendo basically makes like the same 10-15 games all the time. Like it's a Zelda game, it's a Mario game, there's a Metroid game, there's a Mario Kart, there's a, you know what I'm saying, and they do it at such a high level that it's like it's kind of like masterful. I think yeah. So I don't know if there's like a really great answer, but I think what like Sony just needs to sort of like double and triple down and just saying like we're just going to make like the most premium games. So they're going to be like production per square inch is a term that gets sort of thrown around. It's like just like there's going to be more polish, the gameplay is going to be tighter, like you know what I'm saying? Just like that, like pretty much make it impossible to sort of, but it's, I don't know. That's like really vague. I don't know. I guess it's just sort of, yeah, that is a tough one. I don't have a good answer for that.
My answer for right now, based on where the companies are today, my answer for Xbox would be to make the transfer to different, like if they're moving forward with this idea that Xbox is a platform, and this is an Xbox, and this is an Xbox, and this is an Xbox. Your TV is one, and your phone is one, and your laptop is one also. Then make that seamless. That was something that I ran into when I had my Game Pass Ultimate free month, is that was not seamless. If I was playing something on the laptop, then it did not carry over to, now granted, I don't have the series. It was the Xbox One S that I have. But I couldn't transfer over saves for all the games. Like, it was very finicky as to what it allowed on what system and what carried over. And I think if that is seamless, and that seamless experience could be low cost, then even if that doesn't include games, but that is a standard for your Xbox platform, I think that would differentiate it from Sony. I could be wrong. I know Sony has the portal and things like that you can buy into, but I think Xbox actually has the leverage with Windows devices and being a tech company that it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually
That's
kind
my
of
answer.
like, so it's like you're almost sort of saying like make it sort of more of, yeah, like open, make it a little more accessible, a little more open. Where and I'm kind of, I guess I say like, I'm thinking about it now, and it's like I think the way that um I think like maybe the way forward is like for Sony to go even a little bit more like niche and bougie. And I hate that, I hate saying this, but like make themselves really like the Apple of the gaming space. Like I think that's
Mhm.
kind of what they're gunning for anyways. And I think they kind of do that anyways, but it just like make it like, no, like you're going to buy this. When you buy this from us, it's going to be a really high quality product. So it's like, I would say like, don't do like the half measures.
Mhm.
Like make it so that like, hey, yeah, you're going to be paying $90 for this controller, but this is a controller that's going to last you 5 years. It's going to do things like, it's going to perform, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just like,
Mhm.
I'm just like lean into that quality and just say like, oh,
Mhm.
you're going to pay for this, but it's going to be a high quality. It is going to be a seamless experience within this ecosystem. But like, it's very much like that walled garden kind of like Apple kind of, like maybe something like that, even sort of like just as far as like services. And
Mhm.
I would say like their biggest weakness is hardware. I'm getting off the topic. I don't know
Yeah.
how they distinguish themselves either, because like I think the way that Nintendo gets around it is that they have mascots. Like they have very like
Right. Oh
recognizable
yeah.
brands and IP.
Yeah.
And the fact is, I think one of the strengths that Microsoft and Sony both have is that like they don't rely on the same IP over and over and over again. And so stuff can go away and then come back.
Mhm.
Or just go away. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. If you could create, like, I'm seeing this commercial in my head, and this is me talking to Microsoft. If you could show a commercial of a young professional who takes the train to work and pulls out his phone and an Xbox controller, pushes a button on the Xbox controller, starts playing his game, and then the train's there, so he puts his stuff away. He goes into work and has his briefcase. He's working on his laptop, and then he has lunch and he's eating a salad, and then he pulls out his Xbox controller and continues that game on his laptop. And then when he's done with the day, he's back at home and he just pushes a button on his Xbox controller and it plays on his big screen TV. Like that seamless movement of different devices to carry your game. Like I think that would differentiate it. That's almost what Nintendo is doing with Switch 2, almost, but not quite. I think that's the only way I can think of Xbox differentiating, because they've made it clear they don't want to have exclusivity for the games that they own. So,
Yeah.
anyways. Anyways, not to belabor the point. We're at the end of the
Gracious
podcast.
Josh, any thoughts?
Recommendations?
Well, I was just like, even in sort of answering the question,
Right.
like,
I was thinking maybe just in light of Dredge, becoming a platform that's even more supportive of indie developers.
Yeah.
To have games that are truly unique, because I think a lot of the stuff that's being thrown out there, it's highly polished. I don't want to call it slop, but it's just the same old thing. And rather than having games that, the dev teams are highly supported, but they're free to make the games they want to make, and and they have this financial backing and support to actually succeed. But they need to be independent still. They want to have their own ideas and creativity. I just think Microsoft and Sony are so big they don't want to fail, but then that leads to some of their games failing because it
being
doesn't
sterile.
It's very sterile, right? If it even makes it to the market, it's sterile, and or has lost its originality. And they occasionally hit a home run, but there's so many flops on their end, so much wasted money. I would say take all that money and put it towards some companies that have genuinely unique ideas and really try to create something there. Be a really open environment, a welcoming environment to indie developers. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
That kind of sounds like Xbox Live Arcade back in the day when indies were just coming to console.
They both had like very strong indie pushes from time to time. Like the PS3 era and the PS4 era, the beginning of the PS4 era were huge for like indie stuff. But it's like, yeah, that's a market. I mean, I guess what I'm saying, and again, like, I guess it's like, I think what Sony needs to do is really just double down on the excellence and say, like, we're going to find like the best indie games, and we're going to like, because it does feel like that there's been like, yeah, you're right, Gracious Josh. There's been like some really pretty significant swings and misses, and I'm just saying, like, dude, like, and I know people don't like hearing this, but like, if they had like, I don't know, if they had managed to like really lock up something like Hades 2, or you know what I'm saying, like, this is like, you want the best stuff, you're gonna find it here first, kind of deal. Like, if they had managed to get like Silksong or Hades 2, or like even sort of like the like kind of like Game Pass with Expedition 33, you know what I'm saying, like, I think like make it so that like Sony is like the premier home. I don't know. I don't think there's a great answer on that. I think like that's for, I don't know. I think that their markets are so broad that it's hard to sort of say like, hey, what's like the one like core strategy? I just think like it's not like Nintendo's strength is its fan base is just rabidly devoted to its pre-existing properties. Whereas I think like,
and its developers. I would push back on that. Like the first party development of Nintendo.
Well, that's
not
that's
just
what I'm
the
saying.
fans, it's also the
no, but
games.
it's like, but like the fans are really devoted to those games, like to that brand. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, and they are that way because like Nintendo has just been like, hey, we make fun games. I just don't know, in a lot of ways, the market that Sony and Microsoft are courting is pretty different than Nintendo's market in a lot of ways. And so it's like, yeah, that's a tough question.
Yeah, especially in an era where the barriers that had caused the differentiations in the first point, whether that was just raw power to make the games, whether that was the architecture to port games and stuff like that, all those things are kind of like standardized. So they're very similar,
it's all comparable.
boxes. Yeah,
they're very similar.
But that's good stuff. I think we've answered those questions to the best of our ability for a small form at the end of our podcast. We've been going pretty long here. So I think it is time for us to bring up the anchors and sail away off into the sunset. I don't know. I am the worst. I know.
You suck.
How did you think we were gonna do an episode on Dredge and not just be filled to the brim with fish puns? I mean, it's gonna happen.
I can hope.
What else?
I can hope that like one day you'll bend in your folly.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this has been quite an enormous recording, so it's time for us to slither away like an eldritch abomination back into the deep from whence we came, which would just be our beds because it is clearly past everyone's bedtime here. But thank you, Josh, again for joining us. Yes. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for taking this much time to do this. Guys, we'd love to hear your thoughts. If there's something you think we didn't cover adequately on this podcast, reach out to us. Go to our linktree.com/the backlog breakdown. Tons of ways that you can get in touch with us there. All our social media platforms and all that fun stuff. I think that's just about it. So guys, till next time, keep beating down your backlogs and we'll keep breaking down the benefits.